check, check. What is going on? What is going on, everybody in the house? What is going on? Wake up in Cleveland every single morning.
I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check, no drip, this wet, tell them run it off, no sleep, no rest, might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch, tell them run it off. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check, no drip, this wet, tell them run it off. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check, no drip, this wet, tell them run it off.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. What is going on? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Wake up in Cleveland on this fine Wednesday afternoon. It is afternoon, right? Sometimes I get a little confused. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is Wake Up in Cleveland. We do these things 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, and typically Thursdays. Not this Thursday because of the holiday, but typically Mondays 9:30, Wednesdays 12 o'clock, and of course Thursdays at 9:30 again. Now, I don't need these headphones anymore because I hear that I sound okay. So let me know in the chat that the volumes are okay. Let me know in the chat the volumes are okay. So thank you for hanging out. I feel like it's kind of a mess up here. I'm looking at my table. I'm looking at my setup. I got to clean this up a little bit. So let me just move some things around so I don't look too ghetto for you. But all right, that's a little better. Hold on, let me put up the check 1 2 hat there. This light's about to die. See, this is what happens when you're dealing with all battery powered stuff. All battery powered stuff means that if you aren't diligent and you don't actually charge your stuff up all the time, well, you get dead batteries. You get dead lights. So I hope that these 2 lights actually do what they're supposed to do, because I'm not really sure that's going to happen. I got to turn off Tweak Music Tips. We've been on for a while now, so I got to turn them off. Who are they rating? I don't know. Anyway, so get off my page. You know, there's one thing about using your phone for anything Twitch is a lot of times people they don't realize when they just kind of swipe them down and they swipe them to the side, especially on iPhone, and they don't realize that like the thing is still running in the background, and then all of a sudden you're like, why is my phone dead? Well, your phone is dead because you still have things on your phone. So make sure you actually, when you kill things, you actually kill them. You actually kill them. All right, let's do a little room check here. Let's do a little room check. Oh, and let me bring up the Twitch page, because I use this little program called StreamYards. And if I don't bring up my Twitch page, I have absolutely no idea who's subbing and who isn't. So let me just pull this up just so we're all on the same page. Ratbone, hey, thank you for that tier 1 community sub. Appreciate you. That's one of the mods here. Ratbone, T Diesel, John P, and Lady Beats when she's available. So thanks everybody for hanging out today. DJ Woodchip, subscribe, 2 months, tier 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. Honestly, appreciate that. I honestly appreciate anything and everything that you guys can do, because it just helps. It helps me run this. It's funny because I say it helps me run this. And I was listening to Tweak Music Tips, and they were talking about how a lot of people assume that the subs and the bits that come through, they're making so much money and they're doing this or doing that. But in reality, a lot of this money just gets repurposed for the stream. Like I was on yesterday, I wanted to buy a cloud lifter just so I could bring the volume up on this mic a little bit more without having to really push the envelope. I'm always looking for things to improve on what we're doing here. So, yeah, the money just goes back into the shows. That's life. That's what we do. And of course, it's not just for this show. I mean, I do more than just show. Obviously, I do YouTube for all you people that didn't know. I have a YouTube channel where I produce tech reviews and tips and tricks and how-tos and anything and everything related to DJ gear and DJ life. So, yeah, that's where I spend most of my time. This show I love to do because Terry talks, so I love to talk, and that's why I'm here. That's really the only reason. Just a way to talk some more, I guess. Oh, so what I'm really happy about today is, well, the sun is out. We had a pretty, I don't want to be that guy that calls for ridiculous statements. Like, oh, we just had this really, really bad storm in California. It's not. It's normal for everybody else. But for us, it was bad, probably because it kind of came out of the blue. Like, it didn't just, oh, look, there's clouds and it's raining. It was like, it's very nice, and all of a sudden it's raining. And it's 11 o'clock, and there's thunder, and there's lightning. There's a little bit of everything. So we had a rather bad storm, and the weather changed, and it was wet and cold, and now we're back to normal California, where it is clear skies and 66 degrees. So can't really complain too much about where we are. Okay, let's do a little bit of a room check here. Let's see what we got going on. We got the mods. We got Queso in the house. Who else we got? Love the conversation in the chat. Kidwick in the house. Good afternoon. Who else we have? Let's see here. We got the Illest in the house. Mike Feliciano in the house. DJ Tempo 868. I cannot read the emote. Sunny in the Bay Area says Phil DeReal. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. And did I miss anybody yet? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm sure the Bay needs water too. I mean, in reality, Southern California, we're not that place. I mean, we don't get a lot of rain, and because we partially live in a desert, that's one of those things that people like to forget. We live in a desert. But the Bay Area, yeah, we definitely need the rain, but based upon 2020, it'll probably be a monsoon in the middle of June. Whatever. I make a joke because it's like, we're closing in on the end of the new year, and this is the final Wake Up in Cleveland show for 2020, and we're at a point now where it's like, are we even going to get to 2021? Or it's going to be like January 31st, and we're going to be like, Happy New Year, and it's going to be January 1st, 2020 again, because that's kind of the world we live in right now. Or maybe it won't go to January 31st, it won't go to the 1st, it'll go Happy New Year, and it's like December 32nd, December 33rd, December 34th. I just have this feeling that that's where we are. That's where we are. But hopefully, we improve. Hopefully something changes for the better. I'm just not sure that's possible right now, in all honesty. And I try to remain positive, but look, I can't speak for every country. And I know we have people that are outside of the United States, so I can't speak for every country. I can only speak for the one that I currently reside in. We got problems here. We just got serious problems here. We need to do better, just in general. And we're not there. We are just not there, unfortunately. So hopefully, we can see a sunny side for everybody, not just a couple of people, not just the upper echelon. All right, enough Politico, because I can definitely talk about politics all day long. Janata, greetings from Germany. Good to see you. Old man in the chair. Hey, man, it's been a while. Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate you. DJ Authentic in the house. 5 inches of snow last night here in Chicago. People sliding everywhere. So, yeah, that was kind of the thing that we wanted to do a couple of days ago. We wanted to do a snow day. So we were hoping that where we live, like I grew up, I actually snowboard, at least I used to until my third child was born. And then strangely enough, I don't snowboard anymore. I wonder why that is. So I used to snowboard every weekend. You get snow, I'd go up to Big Bear with friends and just, have a good time. But haven't snowboarded in a while, and she was like, let's go to Fraser Park. So Fraser Park is like the bottom level I'm in Southern California. So it's like the bottom level as you're traveling through the Grapevine, which is like one of the longest historical roads in America. And at the bottom of the Grapevine, there's this place called Fraser Park. And that's typically, the snow will drop all the way down to those levels, but it's not a resort. So you can just go there and, tube slide or whatever the hell they call that. I don't know. Body slide. What do they call it when you're in the snow and you're sliding? Canoeing, sledding. So anyway, we were going to go there, but the rain wasn't. It didn't bring the kind of snow we were hoping for. Yeah, it happens. All right. Let's see. I hate when this thing jumps. Last one of the year. I cannot believe this is the last one of the year. I am happy that we've gotten this far. I'm not convinced that the last couple of shows being so close to holidays were a good idea. I'm going to be honest with you, because as much fun as I was having, the numbers did not look the same as they were like just a week before, and I know that had to do with the holidays. So I'm hoping we get a little resurgence after the new year, but I definitely wanted to put this year off with the bang. I am incredibly appreciative and humbled by the fact that this is a show about DJ stuff. This is a show where I talk a lot, and I am always impressed when I turn on the stream and I look over and I see all these smiling faces ready to hear more chat. And it's not just the interviews, because at first I was I started to think that maybe it was only the interviews that was what was gathering people here. And then when I didn't have an interview, and I was like, I don't even want to go on the stream. I don't have an interview. Nobody wants to hear me just kind of talk, and the numbers were strong. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out. It's very important to me. I got plans for next year. A lot of people think that, once we recover from all of this, they'll just, I won't be streaming anymore. I won't be doing this. I won't be doing that. And all I can think of is like, why wouldn't you continue to do something that you love? Because if you don't love it, then why are you doing it? Especially during this period, you shouldn't be doing anything that you don't love. Work aside, okay? I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about just in general. All the things that you should be wanting to do right now to grow, to evolve, all that stuff should be happening now. So for all those people that are like, yeah, as soon as quarantine's up, I'm going to be back in the clubs. I'm going to be back doing my private events, and I won't stream anymore. That sounds silly to me. That sounds silly. It's weird that you would abandon something that, for a lot of people, saved their lives in some respects. So I will continue to do this show. This is a show that I enjoy. I think it's worthwhile, and I think it brings good information to the community. So I will continue to do this show for as long as I can. For all those people that are on YouTube, I do see about 20 people that are on YouTube right now. This show will not exist in live form on YouTube relatively shortly. So I would suggest that the YouTube people If you want to see the live one, we'll always repost, maybe a day or two later. But for all those people on YouTube, I need you to head over to Twitch. Head over to Twitch. That's the way we're going to support me. You guys clearly know that I continue to make YouTube content. So it's not about, well, if I move over there, he's going to stop making content. I'm actually making more content now than I was a couple of months ago. If anybody hasn't noticed, there's been a resurgence in my content. I've been trying to push out basically 3 videos a week now. And I think that's a good number for me. Anything higher than that, and I risk, failing miserably. So just like the show. I mean, I could do 5 days a week, but it's just too much. It's too much energy. It removes some of my focus. So yeah, YouTube, Twitch, my DJ streaming and DJ testing, we are going to move that. And this is a general FYI for everybody out there. We're going to move that to the Check 12 ENT page. So all of my live DJing will be on that page. I'm not going to be DJing live here anymore, and or YouTube. If you notice, I don't DJ live on YouTube anymore. It's too much of a risk to DJ on YouTube. I have built way too much to screw that up by, because I wanted to play some trap. Like, that's just not my thing. So no live DJing on YouTube. If people know, I do my father and son, which I will continue to do. My father and son will remain on YouTube. Will remain on Twitch when we do it with my son, because that's one thing that I'm not letting go. But everything else, anytime I decide to hop on and DJ, Check 12 ENT. If the mods can throw that in the chat, that would be fantastic, because that's yeah. I guess it's called diversification. All right, let's take a look at the chat. I do see Melo in the green room, but I want to go through the chat just to make sure we answer any questions that you might have just for me. By the way, if anybody does have any questions, or if they have some things they just want to ask Melo, throw them in the chat now. That way, we can get to them once we bring him on. So make sure you throw those in the chat. It's going to be a real free-flowing kind of interview day. Just want to have a good time. Have a good time. It's the last show of the year. So, yeah, we just want to have fun. Now, I see 22 people on YouTube. I need you guys to head over. Support the channel by watching on Twitch. I know you guys all have Twitch accounts. Let's keep those numbers up. Okay, let's... Red Bull, it will be 2020 extension, exactly. Yeah, COVID will be filing for a 2020 extension. Queso says Cali needs to reopen and it's a must by May because I have a wedding to attend. Yeah, I mean, we can selfishly make that statement, Queso. Look, I have work to do. I have clients that, are not paying me because there's no parties. So I would love to see, I'd love to see it open again. I have a hard time believing that it'll be open in May. But you never know. It's possible. Okay. J Book in the house. What's going on, fam? So J Book, that's my guy from YouTube. Make sure you follow J Book and follow him on here, although he hasn't been streaming nearly as much as he was before. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or anything. I'm just, stating facts. But that's my man. Get him on YouTube. Get him on Twitch. Okay, let's see who else we got here. DJ Charlo in the house. Good to see you. And of course, I'm way behind. Hold on, I'm not as behind as I thought I was. StreamYard does this thing when you get behind and you try to scroll. If you scroll too hard, it drops you all the way to the bottom of the chat. And then I lose my train here. Apple cool girl. Yeah, it's definitely moving. Okay, now I'm back to normal here. I got to be really slow on this. All right, let's see what we got. All right, let's see. Janata says, I must say, I like what you have to say. I'm very interested to all the inside information that I don't know about. And thank you. Hey, you're very welcome. Look, there's inside information. I have to definitely be aware and kind of cognizant of what I say, because I do have a series of NDAs through companies. So you know, I know product that's coming out, and there's some product I have no idea about, but I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. You know, we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I try to help, because as anybody saw my last video, and by the way, it's a short video. It's like 5 minutes long. So, you know, nobody can complain that it's one of my typical 12 to 15 minute videos. It's a 5-minute video. You guys can knock that out on the toilet. So go watch that video, show some love, show some support, help me out like I help you out. Handle it. All right. By the way, I don't know how everybody's Christmas was. How was everybody's Christmas? Did you guys have a good Christmas? Did you get all the things you wanted? I'm an adult, so in reality, Christmas doesn't really happen for me. If you have kids, the adults don't have Christmas. We have Kidsmas. You know, and I'm a Jew, so I have Hanukkah. So for 8 days, I get to watch my kids open up shit that I can't open because I didn't get anything for myself. You know, that's the joy of being an adult. Parenting is fantastic sometimes. You know, I wish somebody would give me some stuff. And I don't even understand why they don't realize, like, we still like stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we don't, oh no, I'm good. Like, I'm not good. I want to know something, but we get nothing. And what's worse, this year, now that I think about it, my kids didn't get me shit. Like, they didn't even try. Like, they didn't, like, you know how, yeah, here's a tie, Dad. Here's some socks, Dad. I made you this paper mache flower pot thing. Where's that stuff? Not one thing. I barely got a thank you. And my kids made out this year. And I fought it tooth and nail. I'm like, they don't need anything. We are in a pandemic. Pandemic kids don't need anything. You know, my wife's like, that's why they need it, because it's a pandemic. That's why they have to have. No, they need to, this is a learning experience for these children. They get nothing. Do they like all this light in the house? Do they like that heater kicking on? Because that's how I feel. Oh, man. Big V, thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. DJ Inglewood on the YouTube side. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, you are very right about that. Streaming is the future. Okay, you know, we should probably talk about that for a minute. And I'm going to have a video about this too. Because there is this weird notion that streaming, like your beat sources, your beat ports, you know, your titles, your Spotify's, SoundClouds, that is the future of music, and you will no longer be able to buy, and I can't even call it physical copies, just, you know, digital copies of music. They will only be streaming for DJs. This is a thing that's been popping up left and right lately. People have been asking me this kind of a lot, to be honest with you. And look, here are the facts. At some point in the not so near future, will there be streaming only? Possibly. But it's not like it's going to prevent you from keeping your actual local storage. It's not like it's going to prevent you from buying physical media and ripping it like we used to do in the old school. It's not like they have developed the technology that is financially feasible for you to be able to stream and store all of your local stuff from your streaming sites, your streaming companies, on your computer. We're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet. So as a professional DJ, and there's two factors, club and then, private. You're going to need to have like a serious connection all the time. And if you're doing any type of private events, you know, and I know, that a lot of these venues are in the middle of nowhere. A lot of these venues are in hotels, in the bottom of the bunker, so to speak. Those types of things, the signal's not going to get any better. So what? We're going to risk not being able to play the father-daughter song because our internet's messed up? Like, that's the dumbest thing. It's not going to happen. Now, will streaming become a major player? 100%. 100%. But if I know, and a lot of these newer DJs are going to run into the situation and they're going to get screwed because they're going to be like, I'm a DJ. And all their stuff's going to be mostly streaming. Maybe not all of it, but like maybe half of it. They're going to get to a venue and they're going to be like, I can't play any of the new stuff that I thought I could because I'm in a dead zone. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no cell coverage. I'm screwed up. And that's going to, all those unprofessional style DJs, it's going to hit them. It's going to hit them hard. You gotta have local storage. So will it be there? Will it be a major player? Yes. Will streaming visually, like streaming your events, become a major thing? Yes. Will it be the only thing? No. No, it won't. We're still not there. But, you know, I know a lot of the DJs out there, when they start hitting clubs again, they will start to ask for, you know, higher bandwidth connections so they can stream their events live. And I think the clubs are going to do that too. You're going to start seeing, you know, Vegas clubs streaming, you know, Calvin Harris one day. You know, maybe it's a subscribe only thing. You know, maybe they force you to buy tickets in order to get on it, like a Play 24. But that's going to become a thing, 100%, because there's nothing better than making money, except for making more money. And if they can find a way to monetize and make more money, they will do that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Okay. Let's just make sure we are good. Philip Tan in the house. Good to see you, man. All right. All right, let's see here. Queso. Yeah. I mean, that's those. Okay. Think about it this way, guys. And then we're going to bring Melo on. Think about it this way. Anything that is static, meaning I shoot a video and it's done and then I post it, is going to be on YouTube. Anything live will be on Twitch. So this show, if I'm doing any type of demos, if I'm doing some sort of a unboxing, you know, maybe I get some new product and and I want to show it to everybody, it'll be on this show. You know, that's why it's good to have both. And it wouldn't kill you to have another app on your phone. It's pretty harmless. All right, I'm gonna drink my coffee and then we're gonna bring on the man. Obviously we have to go to my commercial as we always do. Let's hit out the follows real quick, just so I don't forget them. 69JH, thank you for the follow. Marcella Ann, thank you for the follow. Comsteria, thank you for the follow. And DJ, the DJ, thank you for the follow. Although I feel like you're on here already. Maybe you're on the YouTube side. And I believe I just burned my mouth on coffee. And Apple Cool Girl, hi, how's it going? Okay, let's see if there's anything else. And I know I'm making Melo wait. Sorry for making you wait, pal. Okay. Lady Beats has said it correctly. This right here is what it's about. Yeah. So, and for everybody out there buying products, I know you saw my video and you're like, well, I already bought. Look, if you bought what you wanted and that was it, there's no reason to question it. But if you bought it because it was a good deal and you didn't really need it, you probably could have waited. You know, and watch the video to understand. I'm not gonna tell you my video and then have you not watch my video. That would be silly. Santa was good to me. There you go. Yeah, just waiting for Nam to see what's coming out and get a good deal on a 70 or S9. Yeah, I will still say this, though. I prefer, you guys know this, I prefer the 70 over the S9. If you're going to buy any mixer, I think the 70 is a better mixer. Not just because it's newer, but it's a better mixer in my mind. You know, some people just love the S9 fader, so I understand that. But as far as the things it can do, as far as just the mixer itself, I do believe the 70 is a better mixer. You know, but yeah, wait through January, guys. Wait through January. There you go, D Diesel. By the way, make sure you follow T Diesel, Ratbone. Those two have now finally started DJing on Twitch. So show some love, show some support, get over there and make sure you're following them so you get notified when they stream next, because, you know, it's very important. This year I got myself an S11. Dope. It's a dope mixer. It's a dope mixer. Drunk by Daylight says, do your kids enjoy you DJing? To a point. My son does. That's why we do our father and son DJing. My daughter's 8. This room to her is nothing but like, oh, you're going to work. Anytime I go in this room, you're going to work. She doesn't really think about DJing. She knows I'm a DJ. She knows what I do, but it's not a connection. Although she did ask to learn. She did ask to learn to DJ. So we're gonna start fitting in some lessons for her in 2021. I think she could do it. I think she could do it. Okay. Anything else? And then we gotta pull him on. My kids tolerate my music. No. My kids love my music. My son is definitely he's definitely an apple off of my tree. You know. Pulse Locker. Did you say Pulse Locker, Mixmaster? What are we going back 10 years, 20 years? Okay. I think I'm close to the bottom here. Well, okay, so record pools, maybe. In record pools, you know, they have licenses and they are only able to do certain things, but like music sites, you shouldn't have a problem with. Or, hey, there's another option, guys. Then the other option is to, I don't know, make your own. Make your own edits, make your own remixes, make your own quick mixes. That's why I'm doing all of these Serato Studio videos. The power is in your hands. You don't have to rely on somebody else to do it. Is it convenient? Yes. But is it difficult to make a song with the in and out? No, it's not. You could do it yourself. You could do it yourself. Okay. All right. So we are going to move... She's too old for that. That is correct. Okay, we are going to bring on my man, but first we're going to go to a commercial. You guys know the commercial. You know the drill. By the way, while we're on this commercial, again, there are 80 people on this stream, 52 on Twitch. That is a disparity we can't have. So I need to see at least half of you. I want to see my number average 70 to 75 on Twitch and not 80 to 90 across the board. So if you're on the Mixcloud, which I don't see Mixcloud numbers, but if you're on Mixcloud, head over to Twitch. If you're on YouTube, head over to Twitch. If anything, I'm just preparing you for the future. The future is going to be on Twitch, so you might as well just come over now before you end up not seeing things because I'm no longer posting that, you know, I'm doing it. All right, let's move to the commercial, and then we will be back with Melo D. Please hang on for one moment. Okay, look, I know you think this is a little weird that we're sitting here talking and I just left and I was in a completely different outfit. Well, that's future me. I'm past me. So what I want to talk to you guys a little bit about while they're setting up for this next guest that's coming on, and I'm sure they're going to be dope, but I want to talk to you a little bit about ways to support the channel. You see, there's a lot of work that goes into this channel, and the only way to keep it going, the only way to keep bringing on new people and upgrading the sets and upgrading the intros is by you supporting me. So here's a couple of ways that you can support me, and I'm not sure that a lot of you know this. If you're new to Twitch, you want to look down right here. There's a little subscribe button. That's the easiest way to support me. It's like $5. It's like buying me a cup of coffee. If we're at the bar, you're buying me a beer. If you're feeling a little more generous, maybe you want to gift somebody a free sub. If you are a Prime member, you can use your Prime membership. You get one per month. You can use that on me. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, if you're sitting on the YouTube side, you can also hit that membership button right there, or you can give me a super chat and then send me off a tip. Look, I know that times are tough, money's tough, and I know that what I'm asking for some of you people might be a little too difficult. So there are other ways that you can help the channel. You can host the stream, share the stream. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, share the stream to everybody. Get the word out. That's the easiest way to help me out, and that doesn't cost you a dime. Those are just a couple of ways that you can do this. I think they're coming back, so I need to get out of here. Just remember what I said. We'll see you soon. Bye. All right, I need to bring him on. I don't know why I didn't bring him on the stream. All right. Can you hear me?
Check.
I can hear you. There you go. What's going on, man? Let's see. You're a little angled off here, so let's see. Can we adjust? Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I'll just be bigger than you, and you'll just be the munchkin. So how are you doing, brother? How's it going?
Good, man. How about yourself? How you doing this morning?
Oh, not bad. So just like every other DJ out there, is it still morning for you?
Yeah, I'm also out here. Oh, you mean, yeah. Typically, yeah, I mean, right now, so I have 3 small children here, my wife and I. So right now they're on holiday break. So yeah, we're, sleeping in a little bit. So getting the day started a little bit, not too, too late, but yeah, usually by like 9:30, 10 a.m. things are starting to move. So yeah, so far so good.
Now, are your kids are they homeschooled, or do they actually go to school?
So we're in Orange County. We just moved here we moved here.
You had me at Orange County, but go ahead.
What's that?
I said you had me at Orange County. Orange County is such a different world than the rest of California. But go ahead. Yeah,
I mean, I'm born and raised in LA, in Southern California. Grew up in Cerritos. So we moved just a few short miles down here to a community in Orange County about 1.5 years ago. But my 2 oldest, they were part of LAUSD when we moved, and they were already 3rd and 4th grade. So we kind of gave them the option, like, hey, guys, do you want to move, switch schools, where we're moving to, or do you want to stay? And, at that age, they already kind of had formed their circle of pals.
Right.
So they wanted to stay in, school. So, so our 2 oldest, to answer your question, are still in LAUSD, and our youngest is in kindergarten, and she's actually here at a school in our community, which is literally like a 4-minute walk from our house. So she actually goes to school 4 days a week, but I mean, they're doing it real sensible. They basically cut the class in half. So they have cohort A and cohort B. She goes Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 8 to 11 a.m. And then Wednesdays are what they call asynchronous days. So that's her kind of like, homeschool day where I have to sit with her and do 5+ hours of homework and artwork and reading and, all that stuff. So yeah, to answer your question, our 2 oldest, they're homeschooled. They're doing everything online. And our youngest goes to school 4 out of the 5 days a week for a half day. Gotcha.
So now when we get out of this, you're commuting back to LA for school every day?
Me for the Beat Junkies school?
No, for your kids. You said they were in LA Unified, or are they going to stay there?
No. Well, I mean, they're in the LAUSD, the school district, but their physical school, their campus is 15 minutes from where we live, 15-minute drive. So yeah, it's not like I'm driving to greater LA from OC. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be a definite no.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, I know people that do it though, they're insane. So how long have you been in Orange County?
We moved here about a year and a half ago, September of 2019. So yeah, and the reason for that was, like I said, born and raised in Cerritos. You know, when my wife and I got married, we just kind of, you know, long story short, we just, with 3 kids, all of my stuff, you know, we just outgrew the house that I had bought in 2000 when I moved from my folks' place. So we just needed more space, and we've been looking at this particular community for quite a while. And yeah, we found a good deal on a kind of a fixer-upper. Put a lot of work into it, and so yeah, we've been here since September of last year. So not quite a year and a half, a year and some change.
Gotcha. And I have to do my job. I'm not doing my job because I didn't even introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Beat Junkies' own DJ Melo. So a round of applause. Throw the ones in the chat. Throw the ones in the chat. I should have done my job. I didn't. It is what it is. Sorry. You were on the last show of the year, so
it's still morning. It's still morning. It's all good.
You know, it's funny because the 12 o'clock ones are typically harder for me than the 9:30 ones. I don't know what it is, but maybe because I give myself that extra. Because, you know, 9:31, even if you go to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, you're like, I got to be up because the show's at 9:30. When it's at 12, you're like, I'll sleep in a little bit. Maybe you sleep in a little too much. Maybe it's messing with your whole cycle. So yeah, it is what it is. But, you know, a lot of people like the option of having the Wednesday afternoon show versus the morning, like you, because you have kids in the morning, they go to school and all that stuff. So now how was your, and by the way, what are the ages of your kids?
11, 10, and 6.
Okay. So over Christmas, when they got all their stuff, by the way, did you buy a PS5 for them?
No. But my son is an avid gamer. He's really into Roblox and Minecraft.
Yes.
So he's got his PC and he's got, you know, his circle of buds, and they jump on pretty much every day. I mean, right now, because they're on holiday break from school, we tend to kind of curtail his gaming hours during, you know, school days and whatnot. But no PS5. They really,
gotcha.
There's no need for it. Yeah.
Well, I think it's probably funny because probably prior to your last computer, he might have had a better gaming computer than you did for streaming.
yeah. I just got a new one too. I just got a PC
I know.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Arabian Prince did that one for you, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're gonna have him on the show hopefully next month. So,
dope.
But he's if anybody was wondering, so OG Arabian Prince, NWA's own Arabian Prince, is a like huge tech guy. So he has his own PC building manufacturing company, and he builds custom PCs for people like us, for streamers, for anything you need. And it's amazing to me when you think about it, because you think about this guy, you know, you think of NWA and you think of Straight Outta Compton, and you're just like, wait, he does what? You know, and so, but it's a really, really impressive. So, and they're not overpriced, you know, because sometimes people do that and you're like, oh, okay, I gotta pay the, you know, the Apple tax, so to speak, and it's like $500 more than if you built it yourself. But no, it's reasonably priced, and he sells you kind of what you need, so it's important.
Absolutely.
So I was just having this little chat with the community here, and I had mentioned that for my holiday, I didn't get anything. Did your children make you or buy you anything for Christmas?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I don't really, at this point in my life, I don't really need or necessarily want anything, because at a certain point, I mean, I'm 47, but it just becomes stuff. You know what I mean? I have enough stuff, like, you know what I mean? I'm really trying to like make more space, to be honest with you. Like I was saying, that's like the reason we moved. But I mean, if anything, I mean, obviously I still collect records, you know, as a DJ, accessories, of course, you know, gear, whatever, what have you. But yeah, they kicked in and got me a few small gifts. They actually, for all of you guys in here that see me stream, I'm a pretty big beer drinker, you know, when I'm live streaming and DJing.
Right.
So they got me like a nice little like mini fridge for my studio.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have to like walk to the other room a whole 20 feet to get a refill. I can just reach down, hit the door.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Some exercise clothes. We have my wife and I have a Peloton bike here. So they got me a couple of, you know, Peloton shirts, and you know what I mean? Some clothes to exercise in. So yeah.
Hold on. So can I be selfish for a minute? Can we talk about Peloton? Is it worth it? because I'm a avid cyclist. So I used to do, and I'm trying to get back to triathlon. So I have a really, really over the top expensive bike, but obviously when the weather changes, it becomes difficult. Is the Peloton worth it?
I'll tell you like this. I've never been a cyclist. That was like one of the few things I like kind of avoided at the fitness at the gyms. But since we got it, I've gotten pretty into it, man. It's really good exercise, and beyond the actual cycling, they have plenty of other like exercise programs. I mean, there's floor, there's stretching, there's yoga if you're into yoga. They have weight training, there's body weight stuff. Like they have a wide variety of different exercise classes on demand. So it's really dope in that sense. I've been doing it for when did we get it? We got it in August, and I've been doing it probably like 5 to 6 days a week ever since we gotten it. So yeah, you would probably enjoy it, man. You would probably enjoy it being a cyclist. Like some of those programs, they're really challenging physically. I mean, maybe not for someone like you that's an experienced cyclist, but for someone like me, like I said, that never really did anything other than like cardio or running. Yeah, some of those things are pretty tough. Like, and it's funny. It's like a running joke with like we have some friends in the neighborhood that also have them, and it's like if you ever get a chance to go on a ride, like I said, they can be really physically challenging. And I'm over here like out of breath, like borderline fainting, and the instructors, they're up there dancing and doing body rolls and giving shout outs. I'm like, yo, like how are you guys even? So yeah, so it's pretty dope, man. It's good exercise. I really enjoy it. Good. Yeah.
It's weird. It's like, it's one of the only things like my wife's like, you should get that. And I've never understood why, but she's like, but she doesn't want the cycle. She wants the other one. Cause I know they have a couple of different styles now. She wants like the Stairmaster kind of, one of those guys. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is about females and Stairmasters, but they just love their Stairmasters. It's just not been my thing. But I'm making it a point that I let this year go. It's really sucked. I've put on unnecessary weight, and I'm just like, I need to get back to what I used to be. I'm not talking about physically, like, come on, we're all aging. It's hard to get back to like when you were 20,
but
of
course,
still.
yeah.
But
I mean, you're in good shape, man. You look fit from, from what I can see. Like, still got your youth about you. I don't know how old you are, but yeah.
I'm close to you. I'm close to you. I actually, first off, I have good genetics. So I want to throw that out there to my mom. When I gain weight, I am not the gain it in just my belly guy. So I gain it across my entire body. So I don't show weight gain like other people do. And couple that with the fact, I played football. I was an athlete back in the day. So I've always had like super large shoulders and shoulder blades and what are the things underneath the like the wing, not the wingspan, but the lats. So even when I gained weight, my body proportions were so wide that it takes a long time to catch up to that. So I'm like one big slug.
Right. So it's evenly distributed.
Exactly. So I'm fortunate, but yeah, I can step on a scale and go, you need to start doing better. You need to do better. So that's where I am. So yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, there was a question in there that says, how many records do you have behind you? And let's go, let me go to your full screen here so they can see it. Jesus.
Yeah, there's actually 2 more rows you guys probably can't see. So this is 6 rows high, floor to ceiling. And there's more kind of in front of me that again are off camera and around, and 45s. To answer that question, I've never really counted. And then I have 2 storage units out here with just, it's not all records. Yeah, I have one in La Habra, not too far from here, and then I have another one in Cerritos that I've had since the 90s. And that's the one in Cerritos is still pretty full with records. That's a lot of the stuff from when I was DJing on 92.3 The Beat. I brought a lot of the things that I wanted to have here at home, like, that were immediately accessible. I brought in a lot of it here, but geez, I don't know. I've never counted, but I'd have to say, geez, I wouldn't even know where to guess. Maybe somewhere between 12 and 15,000, something like that. Again, that's just a guess.
but how does one organize 12 to 15,000 records?
So the only ones that are organized are the ones that I have here, and I've always my system has always been alphabetized. Well, organized by genre, and then alphabetized from A to Z by artist. So like right up here.
How many? Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so up here, like the first 3 shelves right here, this is kind of like I was saying, some of like my radio R&B, my 90s R&B, and it's also like, you know, top left corner would be Aaliyah, and then Tony Braxton, and all the way down to like, you know, Les Nubians and Brand New Heavies, and so it's all alphabetized by artists. So if I ever want to pull something or reference something, I pretty much know where to go. So it definitely helps to be organized. I mean, for me, in that sense.
You had me at Brand New Heavies. That's my group right there.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's always amazing to me because I have records, but like I really stopped doing the collection thing, and I know it's because it's such a great deal of work to use vinyl nowadays, and to even mix with it, like being able to go through and, oh, there's this one song I want to play, let me turn around and find it in the middle of like a stream, and it's not like it used to be, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's always been a little harder for me, because every time, and I don't even have as many as you, and I still struggle with trying to find the music I want, and I'm lazy, so I don't put it back exactly where it's supposed to be, and It's just it takes so much work to be a vinyl DJ.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah. So this took me, like this shelf behind me, this took me probably between, you know, probably several, maybe like 5 or 6 trips to storage, because you can only bring back X number of crates at a time, right?
Sure.
In your vehicle. So I'd say probably around 2 months just to organize all this. Again, like just to make those runs, bring the records that I wanted, go through them, pull them, box them, bring them back here, you know, physically unpack them, and then start to, like I said, just kind of organize them alphabetically. Yeah, it's probably about a 2-month process.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, but
now, I was gonna say, the ones that are at storage, are you ever concerned with you know, like heat issues in storage with like melting your vinyl or damaging your vinyl?
No, I mean, I used to be, but well, the one I have in La Habra, that one's climate controlled, so that one's not so much a concern. But the one in Cerritos, like I said, I had that one in the 90s, and that was before they started offering things like that at storage units. And thankfully, I don't know how it's worked out for me, but knock on wood, I've never had, I mean, the records that I pulled from that original storage unit that I've had, no damage, no warps, nothing. So they've all pretty much sustained their condition. So definitely happy about that. Yeah, especially like the oldest stuff from like the 90s, and you know, and then the way they made vinyl, like records back then, they don't really make them like that anymore. So a lot of those they were manufactured really grade A. So they've definitely stood the test of time over the years.
Although I do find that even like the 90s, it's, as you move forward, like the 90s stuff was made well, but then you go back to like the 70s and it's made better. Like some of my older stuff, like my George Benson records, I mean, it's like super thick. It's amazing how you can literally watch as everything starts to drop. The quality starts to drop itself.
Right.
But yeah,
I think that I think the 90s was the cutoff. I mean, and I agree with what you were saying. Like the records from the 70s and the 80s, they're just made so well, like so tough. And they just, to this day, like I have a lot of 45s, mostly pop and some hip hop from the 80s. That just still plays like it was made, you know, last week. Like it's just, it's crazy. And then, like I said, I think the 90s was really the cutoff as far as like quality goes. Early 2000s, maybe. And then after that, you know, when digital kind of came about, like 2004 and 5, you know, people weren't really buying records as much. So, I mean, maybe the quality kind of, you know, dropped down a notch or two. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I held on to everything. And like I said, it's been able to sustain the condition all these years. So, yeah.
And when it was happening, did you get to a point where you were like, why am I keeping all these records? Or were you know what I mean? Or were you always like, no, this is what I do. I'm going to keep them until I die and pass them down to my children?
Yeah, I never thought about getting rid of them, but the challenge for me was, like I said, going back to our place in Cerritos, once we had a family and, you know, space became not as readily available. I was without these records. I was without my collection for the most part for about 5 years. And I was pretty much relegated to working in the garage. So I didn't have a studio, like a room like this, like a dedicated room. I had literally a setup. I had basically a workstation, you know what I mean? An area to practice. And I had maybe 7 or 8 crates with me and my 45s. And that was about it. And I missed them. I really missed my records. I never thought about getting rid of them. So that was kind of another reason like we opted to move. And now it's like that I have them back. It's a really good feeling, not only just to have my collection, but it's helpful for me as a DJ because there are times, like, I don't know if you go through this, like when you're doing something that we all do, like working on a set, for example, you know what I mean? Or putting together like a mix, you know, a 30-minute whatever. And, you know, I don't know if this happens to you, but this happens to me on occasion where I'll hit a wall, be like, oh man, what's a good song? And that's where this really comes in handy, because this will really help spark a lot of ideas, you know what I mean? Or I can like pull a record that maybe I don't necessarily have an MP3 copy of. I can record it and then boom, I'm on my way, you know? So it's definitely helpful to draw inspiration from.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that a lot of people probably never, I mean, there's DJs in this chat, obviously, but I think a lot of people, even the newer DJs, have never really done any real crate digging. And, you know, there is a honesty and an artistry and just a passion when you find a song that, you know, you might be the only one that ever plays this track ever again. You know what I mean? And it's yours. Right. It's not like, oh, I'm crate digging on Spotify. Oh, I found this track. Oh, this is a great track. And then, you know, you start playing it. Somebody just Shazams you. Next thing you know, they all have the same song. With vinyl, you might be the only one with this one piece. And it's so important to, like, I think people need to realize, like, look, today when you're, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but DJing today is not like it was before. And this separation used to be obviously your DJ skills, but also your music selection. You know, people would go see a DJ because of not only how he played, but what he played. And it was different than the next person. And it's like everything is kind of just merged together. It's all, everybody does exactly the same thing. And I mean, look, you're a radio DJ, you're a club DJ. What have you experienced?
Kind of a bit of both. I mean, there's definitely, I agree with you, in one regard that, I mean, definitely, like, you know, I obviously come from, you know, the school of records. I mean, I was DJing long before Serato, even existed. So, yeah, I definitely come from the school of, like you were saying, like, you know, there was a time, an era where if you didn't have the record, you just straight up didn't have the song. Like, you didn't have access to it. And that was, again, like, to your point, like something that, you know, made the DJ stand apart from the next man, you know, whereas now, for the most part, there are a lot of things that are universally accessible. But however, and this is just my personal opinion, I definitely feel strongly that skills are still very important, because you can give 2 different DJs with 2 completely different skill sets the same 20 songs. And I guarantee you with 100% certainty, the DJ that has more experience or a better overall skill set is going to just deliver a better set with those same 20 records. I mean, anybody at this point can blend from song A to song B to song C, and that's cool. And I think that's where, like you were saying, DJs kind of like can't sound the same, you know. But again, like it's those little nuances, the little subtleties, you know. Maybe, you know, you do something creative with an acapella, or maybe instead of starting from the first verse, you start from the 3rd verse because it's a Big Pun had a, you know, a guest cameo in the 3rd verse, you know what I mean? And you flip it on your audience that way. So there's definitely, I think those are, like I said, the little things that, you know, those come with experience, you know. To someone that's just starting out, can't really fault them for not being aware of how to approach, you know, so, but that, again, that will just come with experience and with time. We all had to start somewhere, but yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, it kind of goes both ways, you know. Yes, there is that kind of pool where you have like these DJs that kind of play the same, whatever, 15 top 20 tracks, you know, at their club or their gig, or their radio show for that matter. But then you have guys like myself where I'll do live gigs or I'll play a set on Twitch selectively. You know what I mean? I play music that is near and dear to me. I'm kind of like past the point of, you know, playing to a room. I DJ'd for many years in Vegas, probably like around 14 years. And it was definitely fun for the first like maybe 7 or 8. And then the last, like, as music started to change and it just became, I mean, Vegas has always been a very commercial market, but there was definitely a time when I first started in like the mid 2000s, like 2006 to like 2009, where it was like true open format, you know, where it was like you would go to any club on the Vegas Strip and you would hear, you know, obviously some Lil Jon or whatever the new hip hop was, some T.I., but you would also hear some 80s. You might hear a little bit of flashback dance music. You would hear some disco, like, you know what I mean? And now I'd say like 2015, when all like the trap and the kind of commercial hip hop that kind of took over and there became less and less room. And also the age demographic changed. So you can't expect a 22, 23-year-old, you know, person at the club to know Funky Town or Donna Summer or like, you know what I mean? Like anything beyond Montel Jordan, this is how we do it. You know what I mean? They're not gonna, it's just not gonna jive well. So that's kind of where I lost interest in the scene. Again, just because of the shift in music. I don't dislike it. I understand why people dig that sound in the club, you know, and I get it, but it's just not for me. Like those kind of sets aren't for me. Like doing a 2-hour set of just one lane, like bores me. Can't do it. Yeah. You know, I can take it there for 12, 15 minutes and you know what I mean? Yeah, sure. I'll play you some 60, 70, some Cardi and some Kanye and you know what I mean? A Jigga track or whatever. And then, but man, after that, I got to move on. Like I can't just be up there like in that same 10 BPM range the whole night. Like it just boring.
I get you. That's kind of always been my vibe. And I see Paris Paul in the house. What's going on, fam? You know, because he was a club promoter and he's like, hey, come out to this club, and I'm like, well, what is it? And he's like, I can't be at this club for 2 hours listening to the exact same stuff over and over again. Nothing against it, but that's just. I grew up in the 90s. I grew up as a hip hop dancer and b-boy and like, you know, music was different and it was fun and you had a good time doing it. I'm not saying it's not fun anymore because obviously the kids appreciate what it is. It's just not fun to me. Now, having said that, there's a couple of tracks out there that I hear on the radio and I'm like, that shit is whack. And they play that song in the club and I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing it with whole new ears. Like, what happened? You know, so it does happen, and I appreciate it, but yeah, like I'm old school. So yeah, I'm a open format DJ, you know, like for instance, a lot of people don't probably weren't there on the day, but like a couple of weeks ago, you were doing a freestyle set and you know, there was 4,000 people watching. And it wasn't that there was 4,000 people watching that amazed me. It was that, cause you know, look, everybody knows even with Twitch, you know, you maybe get lucky and hit the front board and automatically you get, you know, 5,000 people just in your stream. More importantly, they didn't leave. I was so impressive for like, cause I got on, I was like, cause I was just happened to be on Twitch. I'm like, Melo's on with 4,700 people. And I click on it and I'm on, just letting it roll in the background. And I periodically look back and people are still on the stream. They're still listening. They're still contributing. It was really, really impressive. And I think that's that goes back to what you were saying, that a DJ with skills can keep a crowd better than a DJ with no skills playing something that maybe they didn't even want to hear. You know, because freestyle is definitely a selective group of people that like freestyle, you know. But hey, you made it work. I mean, probably because your wife was holding it down too. But, but you made it work.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Dina, man. She's a huge help to just my streaming, my live streams here. But yeah, I mean that music is, a lot of the music from the 80s is timeless, and I think you touched on something really important. I mean, I've talked about this openly, like over the last few years. Like the 80s was truly a special time, especially growing up out here in Southern California. I mean, I was exposed to everything. So we had our pop stations. We had Kiss FM. We had an AM station called the Mighty 690 with Casey Kasem. He used to do a top 40 countdown. So he was playing everything from Prince to Paul Simon to, you know, Madonna to Herbie Hancock, Rocket. Like you would just hear whatever the top 40 was. Thomas Dolby, Blinding Me with Science, like just all the jams, wham, you know what I mean? And then we had KDAY 1580 that was pretty much like, you know, a pioneering radio station for hip hop out here. We had KJLH, an R&B station, you know. So again, just a real, just, you know, wide range of music that I grew up on. And like I said, freestyle, that was definitely a big sound in the late 80s also. So that music, like I said, you know, is kind of near and dear to me just because a lot of those genres provided the soundtrack to my youth. So I think, and I've always felt this way, like when you, as a DJ, when you really play something or play a set or you share music with an audience that you truly enjoy and you play a set from the heart, it translates very well to your audience versus someone like me that gets hired to go do a 2-hour set in Vegas. To me, that's like work. Like I'm going to show up and do it, but my energy is definitely not going to be the same. I'm going to be constantly looking at the clock, like looking up back. All right, is the closing DJ ready? Hey man, you ready? Would you mind jumping on 15 minutes? You know what I mean? So, but thank you for that compliment. Thanks for tuning in for that, by the way. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, I definitely can't take the credit for the viewers hanging in as long as they did. Like I said, I like to think that was the music. That music is timeless. As you know, with Twitch, it goes above and beyond the music. Personality, I think, and presentation, I think definitely plays a major factor in anybody's live stream, you know, because that's part of the cool thing about Twitch that I've learned is that as much as people enjoy, you know, listening to whatever throwback tunes or, you know, hearing like what your selections are as a DJ, they kind of want a little peek behind the curtain too. They want to be able to maybe chat it up with you and, you know, catch a shout out or, you know, spend some time in your room and catch a vibe. So I think you have to kind of balance all those things. And that's where, shout out to Doc Dina, man. She helps me out big time because, it's hard to keep up with the chat and focus on, you know, keeping the, you know, the mix.
Oh flowing. Yeah, no, you're and your chat is flying, so I can appreciate that. You know, a couple times I've been like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "There's no way that they're gonna even catch my comment." But she does a really good job of it.
She's really good. Yeah,
I mean, the first world problems. I mean, there are far worse things that you could be struggling with. You know, whether or not you, sure. I sorry I missed your comment. There was, you know, 12 people sending me 200 subs. So sorry, I had to prioritize.
Yeah, to shout them out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I do want to shout out a couple of people. 916 Junglist in the house. Subscribe for 5 months. Thank you so much. We got Professor BX. That's my homie right there. Subscribe. Thank you very much. And he had a question. He subscribed for 4 months, but he said, and we will get into this, but he said, given how much prep work is involved in battles and also in putting together sets, what would you say is more work? Wondering because you were one of the first cats I can think of who made the transition with no pain.
So, sheesh. So battling, I'd have to say battling, because when you're talking about battling, God, I'm thinking back. So myself, our crew, the Beat Junkies, we dedicated ourselves to DJ competitions for the better part of 5 years from the mid to late 90s. And I definitely remember night after night, day after day, literally waking up, walking straight over to my setup, turning it on, and I'd be at it for 6-8 hours, like trying to like perfect a routine or make a new routine or, just practicing, you know, whether it was scratching or trying to come up with a beat juggle. Again, this is pre-Serato. So this is just working with, you know, the record library that I had at the time. And then, you know, meeting up with the crew, with the homies to practice. We would call each other, me and Babu and D-Styles, and, you know, play, you know, ideas for each other over the phone. What do you think of this? And then we would get together and practice. There's definitely a level of dedication and commitment that comes to preparing for a DJ battle. You almost have to kind of just drop everything else. I mean, true story, I can say this now. I would never say this back in the day, but I know my mom's not listening or watching, but I actually cut a lot of school. I ditched a lot of school. I graduated from UC Irvine in 97, but I cut a lot of class in the early 90s to practice, to prepare for a battle. That's how, like, you know, focused I was. I wanted to win, and I wanted to just, you know, make a good showing And so it was really important to me to just, just make sure that all my routines, however many I had, if the battle was head to head and it was possibly, if I made it all the way to the end, it was going to go 8 rounds. And that meant I needed to have 8 routines. Well, I was going to have 10 just in case, and so that's a lot of work, compared to preparing for a DJ set. I know not all DJs do this, but that's always kind of been my approach. I'm very methodical. Even just in life, period, my approach has always been very meticulous. So that applies to my DJing. So I definitely put my hours in. So using Vegas, like a Vegas gig. So if I was scheduled to play, like my last residency was with the Hakkasan group. So I would rotate between a nightclub called Hakkasan, which was at MGM Grand, and then their newer one, Omnia, which was at Caesar's Palace. So let's say during like the slower part of the year, like I'd be contracted for 24 dates, you know what I mean? Or 20 dates, whatever, for the year, right? And maybe during like the slower season, like the 4th quarter of the year, maybe instead of 2 or 3 times a month, I'd be out there once a month, right? So let's say I play a set, October 1st, and then I'm not scheduled to be back till November 1st. Well, because 30 days goes by, as you know, as a DJ, like I feel like, oh man, there's probably some new music that I need to be up on. I know there's at least 4 or 5 songs that, that probably weren't hitting when I was there last month. So Monday, if my gig was on a Friday, this was pretty much my workflow. Monday and Tuesday were dedicated to, doing my research, checking charts, jumping into record pools, doing, like I said, my homework, grabbing all the music. And then I would spend, several hours just kind of listening to it, learning it, setting cue points, loops, all that stuff. And then Wednesday and Thursday were kind of like my practice days to kind of put a folder together for a 2-hour set. And then maybe like Thursday night and part of Friday were just kind of like rehearsal. Like, let me just run through these and, see if I can find some cool and creative, clever ways just to keep myself interested of playing these songs for this room. So it was pretty much like a week-long process. So there's definitely a fair share of work that I would put in to an event like that. And likewise for, like I said, the last, pre-COVID, probably the last 2 years, since like 2018, maybe, I was kind of, like I said, DJing selectively. So I would take gigs where I felt I could be myself musically. So again, like going back to the music that I grew up on, if that meant it was like a bar, or, like a special one-off. I did a one-off with my man Z-Trip out here in OC about a year and a half ago or so. I would definitely spend, several days, like 3, 4, possibly 5 days, just, that whole process, just starting from ground level, just getting music, going through and preparing. Well, but that's just my approach. That's just my approach.
I think it's a fair approach. And I wanted to just bring up something from the old school. So everybody just sit and enjoy. All
right. You good? Timekeeper 5, 4, 3.
I know you're good, but still, you're all alone here now. I think this old house is gonna become your doom. Hey, stop. Never cut it, never delete. Never cut it, never delete. Never cut it, never delete. And check out melody.
Now, that was at DMC. Can you hear me, by the way? We good?
Sorry,
Oh,
turn my mic on.
it's okay.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. So that was at DMC. And how old were you when you were there?
I was probably 23, 22, 23.
Okay,
Yeah, 22,
okay.
23. Yeah, 95.
So
Or
can we
96.
talk a little bit? Can we talk a little bit about the hairstyle? What were we doing back then?
I'm notorious for that hairstyle, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. I would just I let my hair grow for some years, and I don't even know if that was a thing back in the 90s. The cats have like bangs like that.
You know,
Some
they
people
did
thought-
because that was like crisscross, and like everybody had the that was important. You know,
There you
so
go.
it's-
Yes. Yeah. It was going pretty far back. So thanks for refreshing my memory.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
no-
that was kind of like a love it or hate it style. Like I either got super bagged on for that or people thought it was cool. So there's really no like kind of middle ground. Like
Now
Sorry.
it's amazing to me that because as we're watching this video, and I pulled it, but I think I might actually pull it on YouTube too. I noticed that and people were mentioning that like the mixer is bouncing around like crazy.
yeah.
But the tables, like you could put water on them and they wouldn't move. So you know, how was that your setup or was that the DMC setup?
So this is a backstory that you wouldn't be able to take away from watching the video. So
Okay.
for everybody out there, I scratch hamster style, right? Which means that you invert the crossfader. I mix regular, you know, deck 1, deck 2, but when I go to scratch, like, you know, anything beyond blending a record, you know, beyond a baby scratch, if I'm going to do like a 16 bar plus solo, I need to be comfortable. So I scratch hamster. So that first bit that you all saw right there, that was obviously a scratch solo. So the reason that the mixer was bouncing so fiercely like that was because that particular mixer, that was a DMC mixer that was really popular in the 80s and 90s, that was used pretty much at every major DMC contest, did not have a hamster switch. So because my 6-minute routine had both that scratch solo and maybe like 2 or 3 beat juggling routines, in order to scratch, I had to turn the mixer upside down so I could still scratch hamster. So what you didn't see, and I know I don't expect to watch the whole 6 minutes, but after that solo, if anybody goes back and watches that video, you'll see a kind of like a break, like kind of like the video will kind of pause and then it'll just kind of just jump back, like, you know what I mean, into another whole part of the routine. The reason for that was because when I finished that solo, I picked up the mixer to turn it around regular so I could, you know, do my juggling routines with the fader regular. And the cord actually came out of the AC plug, the power cord. So it killed my whole set. Like it was a whole thing. Like I was like, what's going on? And then we figured out
now I have to skip ahead. Hold on.
So yeah, it's probably somewhere around the, I don't know, 90-second or 2-minute mark.
It's right at the end or before?
It's right before before that. It's gonna be before that. Go back. Go back to like around 2 minutes, maybe. There, yeah, probably somewhere right there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You can go forward a little bit. Yeah. You can jump to like probably, yeah, that's probably safe right there. Yep. Oh, actually, so, okay, yeah. I had to turn the mixer upside down so I could juggle. So you'll see it right here. So all of a sudden the video will just kind of stop and then kind of pick up out of nowhere. See?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
That cut right there. So now if you look, the mixer's upside down.
Yep, I see that.
Yeah. So when I went to turn the mixer around, that's what accidentally unplugged. That was pretty unfortunate because up to that point, like I'd say the set was going pretty well. And that definitely cost me some momentum. But this was already a tough contest to begin with. I mean, I was in there with some real heavy hitters. It was myself, my partner DJ Babu, Mr. Sinister from the Executioners.
Yep.
Who else? DJ Swamp obviously was the winner. And there were 2 other finalists. Was it DJ Disc? I can't remember. This is going so far back, but yeah, I mean, basically it was real 6, like, it was me and 5 other, like, really, it was a tough competition.
Gotcha. No, that's dope. That's dope. Hold on, let me, now I guess we should probably talk about that because, a lot of people, obviously they understand that you are a part of the Beat Junkies crew. And as I was kind of pulling up footage, and I actually do have the Babu and your battle, which we'll get to also. But how did it come to be? You know, how did it all come together? How did Beat Junkies how did it start? You know, talk a little bit about that.
The actual crew. How do we all come together?
The crew itself. Correct.
So we're all, for the most part, with the exception of Shortcut and D Styles, we're all born and raised out here, Southern California. And, you know, again, all of us kind of coming from the 1980s, we all started DJing with what we call mobile DJ crews, right? So,
sure.
You know, I come from that. I had my own crew. My brother Curse, he had his own crew called Public Image. Rhetmatic, he had his own crew. J-Rock had his own crew down in Westminster in Orange County. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were all kind of doing house parties and, you know, the traditional kind of run-of-the-mill mobile gigs that you did back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Weddings,
right.
et cetera, et cetera. And then when we got a little older, maybe closer to like 19, 20, this is kind of when we all kind of started getting pulled into, you know, DJing at bars, DJing at local, you know, nightclubs, you know, and that's kind of where we all kind of crossed paths for the first time. I had already known of Rhetmatic and Curse because we're all from the same city, from Cerritos, and they were like the guys that I looked up to, you know, back then. They were the guys that were running the whole mobile scene out there. Icy Ice had Legend Entertainment out in Carson. DJ Havoc, he had his own mobile crew, Prestige Sounds. He was also in Cerritos. But anyhow, to answer your question, so when we all started crossing paths at this nightclub, we would see each other a lot. And then we just kind of, you know, formed a friendship. It kind of just became like we would see each other pretty much every week, if not 2, maybe 3 nights a week at the same kind of gigs. And yeah, I mean, obviously we all kind of share the common denominator of DJing and a love for music. And yeah, we exchanged information, and that turned into like, oh man, let's go record shopping together. And then that turned into, well, let's go back to J-Rock's house and listen to these records. And then that turned into, well, let's go to Curses and practice. And then we were just hanging out so much. It was actually J-Rock's idea. It was like, man, we're doing stuff all the time. If we're not, you know, supporting each other at the gig, we're record shopping together, we're practicing together, you know, we're helping, you know, critique each other's routines, and we're learning new scrap. Man, let's just form a crew. Let's call it the Beat Junkies.
Right.
And that was kind of the birth of the crew right there. And at the time, J-Rock was working at a comic book shop down in Orange County, and Green Lantern was the hot comic at the time. So he, I think I still have mine, 1 second, but
sure.
Walk and talk. So he was working at this comic book shop, and as a token of membership, he gave us, I still have my original ring. He gave us all these Green Lantern rings. So we all used to, so if you look in that video, that DMC video, this is probably dangling from my neck, you know? But we all used to wear these. Like, this is how we would represent when we would step out. You know what I'm saying? So this was, like I said, our token of membership. And that was in 92. So we were probably all hanging out for like a good, probably a year or so before the Beat Junkies was actually formally formed. But yeah, that's kind of the history behind the crew and how we came together. Gotcha.
So, and this, okay, so you said there was Rhetmatic. Like, who were the Rhetmatic, Green Lantern? Who were the originals?
So originally we're 13 members. So it's J-Rock, DJ Curse, Rhetmatic, Babu, myself, Icy Ice, his younger sister, DJ Symphony, DJ Havoc, Tommy Gunn, DJ What. Oh man, there's 3 more. Who am I forgetting? Did I say Icy Ice? I did say Icy Ice.
You said Ice. Yep.
Mr. Chalk, D Styles, and Shortcut.
Okay, Chalk. Okay, yeah, can't forget about Chalk. Yeah, I'm trying to get Chalk on. I asked Chalk like last month. He was like, okay, January. I'm like, come on, man. like people don't realize, like, people who know Chalk, like, know and appreciate and love Chalk.
Chalk's
but
the man.
he goes yeah, but he goes under the radar. And I'm like, no, man, like people don't know like just really how dope you are. Not only as a DJ, but as a person too.
Yeah.
And because, you know, obviously you get the baboos and the rhythmatics and, you know, the melodies that kind of get the shine. But like he's, in my mind, he's essential, you know, to what you guys do also.
Yeah.
You know, so.
No, Chalk's the man. And to be fair, like Chalk pretty much, he's head instructor over at Beat Junkies to the Sound. So I know he's got his hands full teaching class, like, you know, 5 days a week over there. But I'm sure he would love to jump on, man. He's on Twitch at least once a week. He'll jump on every Friday and live stream on the crew channel. So
which are dope. His Friday live streams are dope. His
vibe
is so real, so real.
Yeah. Chalk's the best, man.
Now, how many people in the Beat Junkies are streaming right now besides you, Chalk? I mean, Ice. We know Ice streams every day. He's know early this morning. But how many would you say are streaming?
I'd say probably the most active are Rhetmatic, Chalk, J-Rock, Shortcut, myself, and Icy Ice. And Curse, DJ Curse. DJ Curse jumps on. He recently fired up his own Twitch channel. So, yeah, shout out to Curse. I want to say he's on almost every day.
Let me guess. He might have just started then. Because it seems like anybody that just starts on Twitch is on like 23 out of the 24 hours for like 2 weeks straight. And then they kind of cool it a little bit. Right.
It's a lot of work, man. I don't think people really realize like how much behind the scenes work and prep really goes into streaming. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Just to turn on a show for an interview is like there's so much, and one little thing you forget or whatever, and it throws off your whole stream. Yeah. At least you have your girl next to you helping you out, because you know a lot of people, it's just them by themselves. You know, right in front of a green screen or a wall, and that's it. So people don't realize, but people do catch the bug. Like, do you know Chris? You know Chris Villa. I mean, you know, he's.
I've never met him, but I definitely know. I've heard his name.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So for the longest time, he was like adamant about IG streaming, and I kept telling him, "Yo, man, get off of IG, come to Twitch, go somewhere else that's not kicking you off after 5 minutes." And he was just fighting and finally he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna move over." And it was like he got on the first day, and I think he was on for like maybe an hour. Then he got on the next day, and I don't think he got off. Like he was on for like 4 hours, 20 minutes off, and then 6 hours. It was insane. Wow. Everybody gets that bug, because I think if you're a real DJ, a DJ with the love of DJing, music, artistry, it's really hard to stop you from doing it. So when you finally get the opportunity to like DJ, and you know people are appreciating you, like it's intoxicating. It's hard to get off. So you know, I know a lot of like there are certain people that DJ 4 to 6 hours every day. Like I can't personally do that.
Yeah,
that's a lot. I give myself 1 to 2 hours. Maybe I'll go 2.5 every so often, but like, you know, it's too much. But there are people that do it and they love it, and more power to them. So I guess, so let's take it back now. Before quarantine, before COVID, what were you doing besides obviously like, you know, the Institute of Sound and stuff like that?
Yeah, like I said, a fair amount of live DJing. Just again, kind of taking gigs selectively. Kind of slowly, like I said, the last 2 years, kind of weaning my way out of Vegas. So I would do special events out there. So like New Year's or like some type of big event, maybe like 2 or 3 dates out there. And around that, like I said, just kind of special one-offs, things that kind of piqued my interest musically, where, like I said, I could kind of just be myself. And then, yes, teaching over at the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound 2 days a week. And then on occasion up there, I would teach a master class for more advanced students. And I would kind of like, you know, kind of reveal some of the techniques behind my more advanced trick mixing, I guess, concepts, if you will. And yeah, we have 2 .coms. We've got beatjunkies.com and we've got beatjunkies.tv. So definitely spending a lot of time kind of like, you know, online, filming content for Beatjunkies.tv, and myself and my partners, running Beatjunkies.com, keeping that afloat. So between all that and having, a wife and 3 kids, pretty full plate. so
Yeah,
yeah,
sounds like it.
yeah.
So, and the streaming portion is still up, right? Not streaming, the record pool.
Yes, we just relaunched about 6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Yeah, we just relaunched the site.
And for a lot of people, so whole new upgrade, visuals and everything is what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
That was probably the one thing about the record pool. I was like, I hate this site. I hate everything about this site.
Yeah, we just needed to make it look a little more contemporary, modernize it.
Yes.
That project that took the better part of 2 years. There's a lot. I mean, I'll spare everybody the gory details, but I'm not a web developer or a designer, so you have to pull in the right people and they kind of have to fit your brand, so that your look and your feel and your functionality stays on brand with what you've built. So that in itself takes a while. And then
correct,
you've got a team of X number of people and everybody chips in ideas. It's just a whole process. And then that's just the design side. Then you've got the development. So we had to bring in, shout out to our team of developers, man. We've got a really good team of developers. And I've kind of learned some things along the years about what goes into coding and developing. And just with a website like that, there's constantly there's all these new updates, plugins and things that come up, and there's just so much that goes into a project like that. It took us quite a while, but we were very happy to finally get it launched. About a month ago. So yeah, shout out to everybody that's supported Beatjunkies.com and Beatjunkies.tv for the last several years. So yeah, it was a pretty exciting thing for us.
And for anybody that does not know, Beatjunkies.com specialized in classics. So a lot of the old school hip hop, a lot of things that you just can't find anymore, you can find at Beatjunkies.com. And I noticed that over the last maybe, I don't know, 2 years or so, you started incorporating more contemporary, recent music into the mix. But look, there's a whole bunch of record pools that do that. I think the claim to fame for Beat Junkies is the fact that you can get legitimate, real classics on the site, and they're going to be great quality, and that's why. I mean, Beat Junkies kind of takes the necessity of crate digging out of your hands and puts it into a site that you can just kind of grab everything. So I've always appreciated you guys. You guys do a really good job on that.
Thanks, Cleveland. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. No problem. By the way, shouts out. I got to give a shout out to Stress TV. That's my man. That's my beat. That is my jetpack bags. Good to see you.
Guy right there. What up, Stress?
Yeah, it's everybody and their mama is streaming now, but it's not like it's a bad thing. I mean, people, for whatever reason, there's like this contingent of haters that just want streaming to fail. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why that's so important to people. Like, nope, it's going to fail. The labels, the blah, blah, blahs, it's all going downhill. And then you have people that are just like, I just love to DJ. And that's why I'm here. I just want to have a good time doing it. And like, you're seeing people like all of these people that were maybe companies and corporations and like jetpack bags and like Stress. I didn't even know Stress was a DJ, to be honest with you. And then I was like, oh, he's streaming. Let me go check him out. Oh, okay, he's dope. I didn't know that. Okay, good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's opening up the door for a lot of people that maybe would not have had that kind of commercial access, because it's like, oh, maybe you're not DJing at clubs anymore, or maybe the clubs you're doing, it's like small little bars and pubs and things like that. So this is the first time where it's like, you can actually attract a crowd that would have never seen you. And that's why this is important. I think streaming is not going to go away. What are your thoughts on streaming now and then, in the foreseeable future?
I think it's great. I mean, to further your point, and I've referenced this a few times. I mean, this is shout out to Icy Ice, my Beat Junkie brother, Icy Ice.
Icy Ice in the building. What's up, fam?
AKA Mr. Breakfast of Champions. Have you seen Ice's Breakfast of Champions?
No. What is that?
So Ice, he'll fire up the stream like early, like, 10 a.m. early. Like he's one of the first ones on Twitch. So the last couple streams, he does this thing where, if the hype train starts, he's like, all right, y'all, we get to level 5. I'm going to take a shot. So he calls it Breakfast of Champions.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. Gotcha. Yeah. Ice is insane. I can't take a shot at 10 in the morning.
No, I haven't even had breakfast. I was like, man, you're an animal. But it's so entertaining to watch because it's like, I'm almost like, I was dialed in the other day. I was like kind of rooting for it. And I threw in some bits, you know what I mean? Just to help get him to level 5 because I was like rooting for the shot. Like in like a twisted way.
Rooting
like,
for the destruction of your friend.
Not the destruction, but yeah. Ice is the only guy I've ever seen do that, man. So shout out to Icy Ice, man. Breakfast of Champions.
Ice is dope. Ice is good. He was on the stream a couple weeks ago. And
nice.
Good people.
Yeah.
Good people. Very good people.
That's my man right there.
And we'll talk about streaming, but I do want to mention that as far as accessibility is concerned, I think that Beat Junkies as a whole is really the only crew that like you can actually go to, talk to, like befriend. Like a lot of crews are like, yeah, we're the dopest DJs on the planet, and whatever. Get out of here, kid. But you guys actually like want people to learn, want people to improve their skill sets. When did that actually start? Because obviously the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound started a couple years back, but before that it was Scratch Academy and a couple of other small ones. And I believe you worked at Scratch Academy, a couple of times or did some demos or something.
I might have done like a guest thing or two. I was never really officially part of their, their roster, their instructor roster, but yeah, we definitely did a couple things out here with the academy on the west side.
So what made you think about let's try to help the community, help get people to a level, share secrets that maybe not a lot of other people had? Like, how did we get there?
So yeah, that's a great question, because there was definitely a time, again, going back to our battle years, like in the 90s and all the way up to I'd say like 2010s around there, where it was just like we pretty much, like a lot of DJs did, all of our best kept secrets, we really kept them guarded. You know what I mean? We didn't share them with anybody else except each other. You know what I mean? Like if Ice had a scratch that I wanted to learn, I could call up Ice and be like, oh yeah, Mel, it's this. You know what I mean? If I had a trick mixing thing that Babu wanted to learn, Babu could call me and I would sit down with them and just walk them through it, But other than that, like the circle was closed as far as like, sharing tips and whatnot. But it came to a point where, for us, just seeing the changes in the culture and, going back to kind of like the shift in music and kind of where DJing kind of might have been headed, as far as like you were saying, kind of like, a large pool of DJs just kind of being up there going song A to song B, song C. Like, it became important to us to be like, like I said, there's definitely a lot to be said for skill. And, with the pool and the landscape being so much more vast than it was when we started, it's really tough for a DJ to start DJing now in 2020 and make a name for himself. So again, we wanted to kind of contribute to the culture and be like, okay, well, let's see if we can, share our set of skills with anyone that's interested, that wants to kind of learn our method, our style of DJing, because, we don't propose to make you guys experts or wizards, but what we will do is share our knowledge with you, and you can take that knowledge and you can DJ on 2 turntables and a mixer like we do, or you can take those methods and techniques, you can apply those to a controller, CDJs, and when you get the experience, you get comfortable with everything that we've taught you. That's gonna, like I said, that's what's going to set you apart from the next guy that just plays song A to song B to song C, because you're going to have all these other creative, cool ways to present those same 20 songs. You know what I mean? So that was kind of our end goal there. And like I said, just for the sake of continuing the school that we kind of came up on, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we come from crates, we come from records, we come from, every DJ has to have something unique and special about them. So we wanted to just, put our best foot forward and try and pass that on to future generations. So that was kind of our mentality behind starting the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound.
Give a shout out to Scratch Bastard in the house. What's going on,
Scratch
fam?
Bastard.
Good to see you. Hey man, Scratch, I need you to, I'm DMing you. You got to answer me, homie.
There you go. If he's not on the grill, he'll slide through.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Villa in the house. Good to see you, fam. We were just talking about you. Yeah, we were just talking about you. So I got to ask the controversial question: as DJs training the up and coming new DJs of the world, and again, there are a whole bunch of dope DJs coming out of Beat Junkies. What is your take on kids or adults learning on controllers versus on turntables and records the way that we grew up?
I think, again, this is just my personal opinion, and I think I speak on behalf of all of us at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. This was a really lengthy and healthy discussion that we had before we actually opened the doors at the school, and we went back and forth. You know, we definitely acknowledge the fact that technology is important. I mean, we're in 2020 now. Controllers are a thing. CDJs are a thing. However, for, like I said, the goals that we were trying to accomplish for the sake of our students and for our form of education, we ultimately decided that turntables, the traditional setup, turntables and a mixer were the best place for any beginner DJ to start. And the reason for that is because, as you know, Cleveland, like coming from records, right? When you use records, you know, a 12-inch record, you're forced to learn things like hand control. You're forced to be able to learn how to control your movements on a crossfader, how to be conscious about your volume levels, mechanics, muscle memory, all those things. You're just not going to learn those things on a controller. You might be able to a point, but it's going to be a small sample of what you can accomplish on a turntable. So again, our mantra is that anything that we teach you on turntables, and we actually start our foundation program that runs for about a year at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, we dedicate the first 6 months of that to instruction on vinyl, so that our students can properly learn how to pick up a needle, you know, how to place it on a record, how to find a groove, you know, how to navigate through a 4-minute, groove on an actual turntable, and then at the 6-month mark, we make the transition to digital. We introduce DVS, shout out to Serato, who works with us at the Institute. And then at the end of that, that's their education is complete. But, once they've kind of absorbed everything that we have to teach them as far as, basic music theory, as far as like mechanics, muscle memory, what we call the foundation scratch techniques, the baby scratch, the stab, the tear, there's a handful of scratches. Once they've kind of gotten comfortable and, are confident in executing all those things, then, okay, if you guys want to make the switch to a controller, do that, because you already have everything built in, into your muscle memory. Versus if you start on a controller, you're talking about a jog wheel, you're talking about the visual marker is going to reset at these odd places. Whereas, a record, I can pull out a record that I haven't played in 20 years, right? And wherever that sticker is, the end of my point is that the record, the vinyl source, it's always going to be 100% honest with you, right? So if I pull out an Eric B. and Rakim record from 1988 that I haven't listened to since 88 and it has a sticker on it, guess what? That first verse from Rakim is going to be exactly at 1 o'clock where it was. Versus DVS or a controller, you know what I mean? You have to, you know how that works. So you have to reset things and you have to really, it's just a lot. It can be very overwhelming. So yeah, we like the DJs to start, on, like I said, the traditional setup. So, I mean, I don't think controllers or, CDJs or any form of new technology is necessarily a bad thing, but I think it can definitely kind of impede someone's education as far as being able to grow into a potentially great DJ by starting on a controller. I mean, you're rarely gonna hold a candle to someone that comes from the school that we come from, and that's just the way I feel about it. I mean, you look at anyone that's dope, like anyone that's super duper killing, like a CDJ set or a controller, they come from turntables. They come from this. Like, go watch DJ Scene play. Go watch. I've seen DJ 5 beat CDJs up in the big room, destroy it. But he comes from this. You know what I mean? Right. I've seen, working in Vegas, I definitely went out and just, as a fan, because I like electronic music too. I went and saw all the greats, all the big names play. Calvin Harris, Tiesto, Swedish House Mafia. The dopest guy that I saw was Skrillex on CD, and he was on CDJs. I don't really know his history as a DJ, but
he's a real DJ. Like he was old school. People don't know that about Skrillex, but he's actually a dope DJ.
So that's why it makes sense that he was, you know, performing the way he was, because he was just. And I was watching him, you know, and as you know, like you go watch another DJ, we listen with a different set of ears, you know.
Yes.
Our observations are completely different from the average club goer, you know. But yeah, he was killing it, man. That was he destroyed it, man. Like that was super dope to see. Like, okay, like yeah, like you said, I was like, man, that was my takeaway. This guy is an actual DJ, because he was on CDJs, but you could just tell the way he was just owning the equipment, like, you know. And then he's a performer, as you know. So yeah, that was super dope. But yeah, I mean, anyone that you watch like really get busy, for the most part, they come from turntables and mechanics,
right?
Muscle memory.
It's a very interesting thing, because like currently under this table, I've been testing out the Rain 12s, and as much as I like the Rain 12s, there's also this other part of me that's like, I know that this isn't real. I mean, like it's doing the things that a turntable should do, but I know that I can slap the thing. It's not going to go off cue. You know, I'm never going to have any issues with like, oh, I got to calm my hands down. Oh, I'm pushing too hard. Now my needle's skipping. Like there aren't those things. So the one thing I would say, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, is that if you learn on something like a 12 or learn on something like the phases, it takes away a lot of the struggle that you would have had on turntables. And I think that if you have to go back to turntables, which I guess the question is, anybody that's learning nowadays, do they need to go back to turntables? Because if they're DJing at a club, they're using DVS. You know, if they're working a big club, they might be on CDJs. It's rare that they're going to pull out some vinyl and actually, rock a crowd. So it becomes this thing where people say, like, there's a comment in the chat that says, there was a DJ, we're not going to name names, that said, yeah, DJing with vinyl is dead. And I don't agree with that, but I do think it's a niche product. So I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, why should I learn on vinyl when that's not even the medium that we're using now?
Right. It depends on what kind of DJ you want to be. I mean, do you want to be just mediocre? Because anyone can learn how to beat match and go from record A to record B to record C. Like, you could learn that in probably a month, But, or do you want to be someone above and beyond mediocre? Do you want to be a good, potentially great DJ that has a set of skills that rises above and beyond just beat matching? You know what I mean? Do you want to be able to do creative things? Do you want to be able to wow your audience with a 8-bar or 16-bar scratch solo or a one turntable solo, even if it's just for a few seconds? You know what I mean? Again, those are the things that I feel are always going to make a DJ stand apart from the next man, because I've gone to, my wife and I, we've gone out for a drink, at bars locally here, and they have a DJ playing, and it's just like, I mean, and no discredit, no disrespect, but I mean, I've heard DJs where it's just like, I've lost interest in literally like 2 songs. Like I can already kind of tell what kind of DJ they are, and again, it's just, no disrespect, or, I mean, everyone's different, but if you want to be that guy that just, sure, go get yourself a $200 controller and, learn how to push buttons and learn the functionality and learn how to beat match. You can probably, watch some free stuff online on YouTube that'll teach you some basic music theory. But if you really care about the art form, and like I said, the more artistic side of being a DJ, because the turntable can truly behave as an instrument.
Correct.
So it depends, I mean, what are your goals? Like, what kind of DJ do you set out to be? Do you want to be just the guy that, kind of is in this pool of 50 other DJs and you guys are all kind of competing for the same gig? Or do you want to be someone that's potentially 5-10 years from now, you're on the marquee over at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles, performing as a DJ actual performance, playing the music that you personally like, as opposed to being relegated to those 40 songs that are current, you know what I mean? And doing those kind of gigs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know what I mean? But again, I think it really comes down to what your goals are as a DJ. For me personally, again, the school I come from, I always wanted to, growing up in the 80s, when I heard scratching, I heard DJs like Joe Cooley, DJ Aladdin, the K-Day Mixmasters. That was what caught my attention, was the scratching. Like, how are they morphing the sounds to sound like that. You know what I mean? They're physically manipulating these sounds. Like, so that's what drew me in, you know, to the culture. So, but some people, they're drawn in by, oh, that's so cool. You know what I mean? He's playing my favorite Travis Scott song. And then I heard this cool acapella of, you know, whatever, some Outcast versus whatever, Cardi B. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what your interests are, you know? I don't think there's any necessarily right or wrong, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Scratch says on CDJ versus turntable argument, I used to say that it's like playing Cruisin' USA on automatic or manual. And yeah, I mean, it's ultimately the same thing. And if you're good, you're good. I know I play devil's advocate, but I'm a fan of you should learn on what it was intended. So if DJing came from turntables, you should learn on that. It's like, I don't care if a guitar at some point finally, if a guitar morphs into something where you just hit a button and it plays a chord for you, which that is starting to happen with things like Ableton and all these things. You play an E note and it plays an E chord for you. It doesn't, you no longer have to learn the actual chord progressions and understanding where your fingers should go, you know, on the strings in order to get to that chord. And so my opinion is, sure, you can take the shortcut and you can use these things like an Ableton to help you create. But at some point, you're going to be in a position where they're going to say, hey, here's a guitar. Can you just play this for me? And you can't play it because you never really learned how to play on a guitar.
Right.
You know, so learn the fundamentals and then you can literally play on anything.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a big question. Sync or no sync?
For turntables, controllers, or just in general?
In general.
I think sync is okay for experienced DJs. I would advise against learning to DJ using sync. And this kind of goes hand in hand with using controllers and CDJs. I mean, I just think that you can develop some bad habits early on by learning to DJ that way. You know, you're never really going to truly learn or understand basic music theory, how to beat match. What happens if something goes awry with your sync? You're screwed. You know what I mean? What happens if there's a malfunction with, you know, your software or whatever, and for whatever reason, sync isn't working? You're going to be a deer in headlights, you know?
Right.
And I think with controllers, you know, and CDJs, you know, even learning on a medium like that, you know, you get into some habits of button pushing. I mean, you see a lot of DJs kind of like just doing this, like just screen watching, like for 2 or 3 hours. It's like, that's the worst. Like, it just creates bad presentation, and it creates a huge, whether they realize it or not, it creates a huge disconnect with your audience. Because, you know, your audience feeds off of your energy. So your audience is not going to be intrigued by you staring at something else other than them, or giving attention to something else other than them. Sure, glance over, make sure you're playing the right track, or make sure your loop is on or off, but don't, like, you know, stare into its eyes. You know what I mean? Like you're celebrating like your 20th wedding anniversary or something like that. You know? But sorry.
That's actually, that's actually very interesting because I have noticed that on Twitch, a lot of DJs are still trying to do that wedding DJ type thing where the computer is like right in front of them. It's practically covering their face. You can't see them. And I'm like, dude, move that computer to the side. Nobody needs to see your computer as you DJ.
Right.
It's not like you have to worry about, oh, they need to see my logo. No, they don't. You have OBS, you know, handle it. You know, so let people see what you're doing. And I've always been that way. It's like a lot of DJs don't use their ears anymore. They're only looking at the wave. They're looking at, okay, oh, I'm lined up.
Yeah.
That's not DJing. You know, that's not DJing. And sync, for a lot of people, they think that sync is infallible. You know, oh, I'll just hit the sync button and it'll automatically make my mix great. It's like, well, first off, some songs aren't beat gridded properly and your sync's going to be jacked up to begin with. Some songs, maybe the one is not really the one when you come in on. Maybe you come in on 4. And so you have to know your music. So a lot of people, I will see 2 things. I will see some people mixing and they're synced and it's clearly off. You know it's off. You can hear that it's off, but they can't hear that it's off. And that's always been weird to me. It's like, you can't trust the sync that much and go, no, the sync is right. I'm the one that's wrong. I'm just hearing it incorrectly. When it's off, it's off. And then 2, knowing when to drop it on the 1 versus when to drop it on, on the snare end or whatever. Like my son, he's 14. He's learning right now. And, we talked about the whole thing about the music. And if you gave 4 people the same 20 songs, they would all mix them differently. Well, I gave my son my entire DJ database. Just cloned my computer to his and said, start working off of this. And it's funny to me because, like, yes, he definitely mixes differently than I would do it on songs because I know the music and I know what works and doesn't work. He doesn't. He just knows, these beats go together. But also he runs into things like, this is how we do it. Okay. When you throw it, this is how we do it. It's not necessarily you're throwing it a bar before, but there are certain songs that come in and he's throwing it on the 1 thinking this is how it should go. I'm like, you don't hear that it's off because he's learning, but there's more to DJing than just syncing up.
Right.
And I think that's what people have forgotten. And yeah, you probably see more of that now, especially on Twitch, because there's a lot of DJs that are established, like the Scenes, like the Scratch Bastards, like the who definitely know what the hell they're doing, the Jazzy Jeffs. And then there are people that are just starting out, and you can hear it by the way they mix. And I appreciate them for having the confidence to do it. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing no matter what. But I also want to see growth. And I think that's where places like the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound come into play. They will show you growth because people can plateau and then it's like, okay, what now? Somebody asked a question, speaking of that. DJ Inglewood says, I'm the same age as Melo. Has it become harder to execute some scratches and tricks as the years have went on? And I will add to that and say, how is it possible for a DJ that is older to maybe never really got into specific things like battle scratching and really learning those type of techniques? Like they're just like maybe a rhythm DJ. They know they're great DJs. They're great at blending and great at throwing stuff, but they never really mastered their hands and scratching. Is there a point in time where they can't achieve like that top level of success because of age? And is it still possible?
I think
asking
so.
for a friend.
I think so. I mean, barring any, physical, disabilities, arthritis or something of that nature. But yeah, I mean, I think everything's learnable. Like I said, it really all comes down to muscle memory, mechanics, developing a nice, a nice way to handle the record, developing kind of your touch, like you said, going back to CDJs. Like I said, you can develop some bad habits. Like you can be as heavy-handed as you want on a CDJ, but if you go back to a turntable, that's not going to fly. The record's going to skip, your needle's going to jump. But to answer that question, I don't think so. I think, look at someone like DJ Jazzy Jeff, right? This guy's been DJing since the early 1980s, right? And to me, that's someone that continues to be an inspiration because he's, again, someone that I personally looked up to, that I learned off of by listening to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince records. And this guy's continued to evolve over the years, technically, to keep up with technology. And I look at Jazzy Jeff like, okay, if this guy is, X number of years my senior, and he's still out there doing it, and he's learning some of the new scratches, and he's keeping up with the music and the technology, and he's still delivering these awesome sets, whether it's obviously hip hop, or I was on this morning, he was playing yacht rock, you know what I mean? Put together a real nice yacht rock set. Just like, yeah, anything's possible, man. Just like, I don't think it really comes to, it's not an age thing, you know what I mean? You just have to be willing to just put the time in. And I've always felt that that's true of anything. You want to be great at anything, you just have to roll your sleeves up. You got to dive down the rabbit hole and just commit yourself, and there's going to be some hurdles along the way. There's going to be some frustrations. I definitely remember trying to learn certain scratches, the flare scratch, when D-Styles and Shortcut showed us the flare scratch. We were over at Curse's house literally every night, Cleveland, every night, trying to learn the scratch together. And it took me probably a good month to even understand it and then to actually learn it. But I didn't give up. You know what I mean? So to answer that question, no, I don't think it's ever too late to start. We have some students at Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. We have a few guys that were DJs when they were in their teens, you know, late teens, and for whatever reason they stopped because, you know, they had a family or they started a different career, but they never lost their love for music, and they've come back in their mid 40s, late 40s, you know, guys our age. We have one student that's a judge, and he's in his early 50s. You know what I mean? Okay. And yeah, he picked up right where he left off, and yeah, he's learning all the foundation scratches that we're teaching him. And he's I think, did he graduate yet or about to? No, he's almost about to graduate. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I don't think it's ever too late, man. It really depends.
Well, I think. Well, perfect example is I had Matt Skills on the show, and he was talking about, because I saw him on he was on the Serato site. He was doing a Serato stream and just murdering it, like just across the board, song selection, hands, like everything. And I was just like, so I had him on the show, and I'm asking him, okay, like, how long have you been DJing? Clearly you've been DJing for, 15, 20 years. He goes, no, man, I just started like 4 years ago. Yeah. And I paused because I'm like, what do you mean 4 years ago? Yeah, I started learning. I called on some friends. Now, he had some really heavy hitting friends. I'm not going to say who, but he had some serious people that were able to help him. Yeah. And if a man, because he's an older guy too, but if a man can get to that level in 3 years, I mean, I couldn't even imagine anybody like right now, when you really think about quarantine and COVID, like if somebody had started when they put us under quarantine to where they are right now, if they had done this every day up until today, how good they would be. Yeah. Because it takes time. It takes time, patience, practice. That's all you really need to do anything. I mean, look, there's going to be certain things that maybe just you're never going to get because people do have their physical limits. But having said that, I don't think scratching is something that like precludes you, besides maybe you have arthritis and you just can't move your hands in that way. Right. But I think it's possible. I when I said asking for a friend, I was kidding, because like I'm one of those guys where I was always like a quality DJ, and I could do some scratches, but I never really took the time to like develop a real solid amount of different scratches. So just like you said, you put me down, you give me a 20-second thing. Sure, I can knock out a 20-second thing. People are like, oh, but then if you were like, no, keep going. Not today. Right. I'll come back tomorrow and do that. Yeah. So I'm the same way. I've actually thought about, I was going to dedicate 2021 to just saying, you know what, I want to get to a level. Let's see what happens if I dedicated amount of time every day, for how long and where I can be. I was thinking about doing a YouTube video on it, a YouTube series to kind of show people that it is possible.
That's dope. Yeah,
exactly.
No, guarantee you'll see some results, man. You'll see some improvement, for sure. It's just practice. And to be fair, there's definitely, I mean, pre-COVID, there was periods where, if let's say I got overwhelmed with, teaching at the school, or we took the family out of town for a week. We would go to Mammoth for like a week, right? And I don't touch the turntables for like a week. I definitely feel it when I come back. My speed is not what it was where I left. Some of my my cuts are a little bit rusty. Sometimes I, lose the grip on the fader, little things like that. But it just, it takes like you got to put the work back in to kind of get yourself back on track to where you were. So, but I think that's like anything else. You know what I mean? I'm sure if you were to stop cycling for, a month, like you wouldn't be able to ride at the same pace. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
But the key is
somebody said, "Is this live?" Yes, it is live. Slow bridge. Go ahead. Key is consistently. That's where I stopped you.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, consistency is the key with anything, I think.
I get you. So I want to go back to a couple of people that we were talking about sync, and then they brought it up and they said, look, sync has its benefits, especially if you're trying to transition between two like completely different BPMs. And I agree 100%. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use sync, because sync is there for a reason, but sync shouldn't be the only thing you use. Because if I want to get to 120 beats per minute. I'm sitting at 100. I can drop a loop on the 100 and then slowly work my way up to 120 easily. Like that's a good use of sync, but, and I use sync on occasion, especially if I'm DJing for long periods of time. And it's like, I have a 6-hour event. I'm turning sync on because you've probably been through this. After a certain amount of hours of DJing and critical listening, you stop being able to hear music and it just starts to turn into garbage. So sometimes I turn on sync early on going, look, I'm just going to use sync until I need to. And then I'll turn it off because your music, it's not an issue, but it shouldn't replace what you do. Another person said, they really hate the term that people use when they say, when they say you're not a real DJ. Okay. So as a new DJ, I am disheartened and discouraged to hear older DJs complain or constantly argue the idea of a real DJ. And I get that. I think there's two parts of that. The first part is, I think a older DJ understands, like we just talked about, the fundamentals of the craft, and they don't want you to get kind of drawn into this this fake area of confidence of DJing, because they know that once you get to real turntables or real vinyl, that you're going to struggle. But I would never see somebody that's dope on a controller and they only worked off a controller and say, oh, well, that he's not a real DJ or she's not a real DJ. If you're dope on the controller and you've mastered that controller and you've mastered the art of rocking crowds and your scratches are fantastic on it, you're a DJ. Right. There are levels to this. I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, first and foremost, I know exactly what you're referring to, or the person that made that comment. I've seen that term thrown around, online and whatnot. I personally never put that out there. And the reason for that is because, like I said, going words back, what I was saying was, being a turntablist isn't necessarily for everybody. You know what I mean? Some people, there's a cross section of DJs around the world that literally use one turntable. They are hardcore scratchers. You know what I mean? They're all sons of D Styles. You know what I'm saying? They dedicate their life and their focus to just being dope at scratching. They don't care about mixing. They don't care about music. They want hard scratch beats and a fresh and awe and some dope, sounds to cut to, and that's it. You know what I mean? So there's so many different ways to approach DJing. So, I mean, the term real DJ, I would never use something like that, because to me, that's very alienating. Because like I said, there's different ways of enjoying this craft. You know what I mean? You can be the DJ that just collects music and does it for fun, and you don't want to or care to do anything other than beyond putting together like a nice set, like someone that listens to R&B and soul music, right? They just they might want to get to a point where, like, you know what, I've been listening to this music for half my life, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of resources out there for DJing now. I love to be able to make a mixtape for myself, and that's totally fine. You know what I mean? To me, that's real DJing, because that comes from the heart. You know what I mean? They're putting together music that they truly love and enjoy, whether it's just for themselves or maybe sharing with their family or their close circle of friends. You know what I mean? And that's kind of their end goal, and that's fine. To me, that's a real DJ right there, because you're doing it from the heart. You know what I mean? You're doing it for the love of the music. Or someone, like I said, like those guys that are, these monsters out in Europe that just dedicate their lives to like just being beasts on the cut. Like, that's a real DJ right there. You're you know what I mean? You're really diving all the way down the scratch rabbit hole. I think what constitutes maybe not being a real DJ is when you get into it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? You get into it because you want to do something lame, like build up your Instagram profile or gain popularity or gain followers or whatever. Or, oh, wow, all these other DJs are, Calvin Harris is making $500,000 a night. I need to get in the game. Like, nah, man, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and he put in the work. Don't forget, Calvin Harris put in the work to get to where he is.
Yeah, he didn't just pop up. He's no new jack. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's different, like I said, like you said, there's different levels. You know what I'm saying? And it really in my mind, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. The way that we teach and, you know, collecting records, this is just one of many ways. You know what I mean? If you seek to be a mobile DJ and maybe your goal is to get hired to do weddings and to do, you know, 18th birthday parties and corporate events and stuff, like, yeah, there's a sector for that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real DJ right there. That's a lot of work right there. Being a mobile DJ, that's no joke right there. That's no.
People don't realize they always want to put mobile DJs down, and
nah, man.
I understand it to a certain point because there are a lot of mobile DJs, and I'm a mobile DJ. I own a mobile DJ company. We do, you know, mini parties on a year, but I've also been to the parties where there's a wedding DJ, and he's great on the microphone, but he's just okay at DJing. You know, and it's like, so I get that part, but I have found many a club DJ that I've employed get on the tables and bomb a wedding because they don't understand that the DJing a private event is way different than DJing a club event. And so yes, you definitely still have to be a good DJ. You're just different. It's, you know, it's like if somebody is a martial arts guy and one guy does karate and the other guy does, you know, jujitsu, you know, it's still martial arts and you're both masters at what you do, but you're both still the same. You're both still real DJs. Jimmy Good says, sorry, Cleveland, I can't agree with you there. I think I've been pretty positive. So you have to let me know what you don't agree with me on. No, you're more than entitled to disagree. I don't know what I said,
I'm curious too.
Yeah. Let me know what that means. Yeah. So yeah, Slowbird says anyone who can rock a crowd is a DJ. Okay. I agree with that statement, but I hate that statement is always the argument for any type of DJing. When somebody has a weakness, and I'm not saying that this is what Slowbridge is saying, but typically when somebody has a weakness in the skill sets, the first thing they say was, hey, well, you know, I rock a crowd. So I'm you know, that's all that matters. All that matters is I rock a crowd. You know, I don't need turntables to be a DJ. I rock a crowd. And it's like, it's almost like an excuse. But I agree. If you can rock a crowd, you are a DJ. That is part of the fundamentals of being a DJ. But the DJing has many levels. And just because, you know, club crowds are different than a lot of other things. And you can get by in a club crowd by playing, like you can go to a club the night before or the week before and listen to the DJ and play exactly what that DJ played. And you will be successful at that club, you know, whatever club it is. So it's a little different. Alcohol's flowing. People just don't care as much, you know, right. Especially the new clubs nowadays. But I still think that DJing is more than just rocking crowds. That's just one element to DJing, and there are more to it. But you know, I'm so interested to know what I'm disagreed on. So let me know. Speaking of, there has been this person. I'm not going to name names, but they've been on Twitch for a while now, and if you look at their old videos, their old streams, and you look at their DJing, you realize that they're not actually DJing. It's just a pre-recorded mix, and they're literally turning knobs. Faders are down to 0. They're turning knobs on the channel. I swear to God.
Perpetrating?
And it's like perpetrating, like seriously perpetrating. And so it was brought to my attention. I keep thinking about doing a video on it. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if I'm that mean, but like legitimately, I probably have it on. I can't play it. It'll demonetize me. But
that's
yeah,
pretty terrible, actually.
It is terrible. And all I can think of is, as you said, getting into it for the right reasons. Why would that even be a thing? Like, why would DJing off a mix and you're not doing anything? Why would that even make you feel good? Like you'd want to do it? It's weird to me, you know. So it happens.
I believe the appropriate term is thirsty. The thirst
you're probably
is
right about that. You're right. Dig 'em smack in the house. What's going on, fam? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's funny. DJ Charlo says 119 people in here. 126 now. There's actually almost 200 because there's 70 on YouTube right now too.
Nice.
Okay. For DJ Fly, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Says I won't book
Fly.
a DJ at my clubs unless they know how to use the gear, and the clubs I book for have turntables. Yeah, I understand that. I actually, it's one of the prerequisites for my company, even though we don't necessarily make you use turntables. You have to be able to use turntables in order to work at my company. And it's not so much that we don't think that controller DJs are good and can rock a crowd, as we just talked about. That is just an easy way to establish a bar. You know, you rock turntables. For the most part, I know you know how to DJ. We can tweak you from there. But a lot of times it's like, oh, you rock controllers. Maybe you're only good at your controller. And maybe if I have to put you on a different controller, you're going to struggle because you don't know the fundamentals of DJing. And I know it's one of those things. I consider it like, you know, some jobs require you to have a bachelor's, you know, degree in whatever. And that's kind of the way I work my company. It's like the foot in the door is you got to know how to work DJs, work turntables, you know. But we have a full set of controllers that we send off to parties too. Yeah, that's just the way I feel.
Yep. No, I agree. Fundamentals are everything.
Yeah. Yeah, sets the bar. Yeah. So, by the way, everybody out there, just a quick question. If you guys have any questions for Melo, now is the time to put them up there, because we've been on for a long time now. And I appreciate you for hanging out today. I don't know what your plan was, but I'm sorry if I kept you away from something.
No,
Thank you for hanging out.
No, thanks for having me on. Yeah, this is cool. It's actually
no problem at all.
It's a nice lane change from, you know what I mean, just DJing on live stream, be able to sit down and just chat about DJing. I could talk about DJing and music and records like all day long. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, I enjoy DJing. I'm actually DJing. Where am I DJing tonight? Where am I?
An actual
Joe
gig?
Bunn's. Not physical. I'm streaming.
Okay,
Joe Bunn's stream, and I can't remember what it's called right now. It's not Crate Hackers. It's the I can't remember what. DJ Vault. So I will be on there, I think, at like 5. But the point is, it's like when I could be DJing all the time, but I don't know. This just kind of fell into what I wanted to do, and the love for all things DJ related. You know, I think that's kind of the key. I love everything. And talking about it, I felt like we could bring something positive to the community, something that they can learn from. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. SMC said, are the classes available online? If so, how does that work?
So we have videos at beatjunkies.tv. That's our online DJ school. And we've got around 700 videos in our archive. So those are at all levels. So if you're a beginner, we've got a healthy number of videos in our library for just beginners. We walk you through all the basics. Like I said, how to handle the equipment, how to properly pick up, place a needle. We walk you through, you know, the different elements of a DJ mixer, you know, kind of give you a rundown on the equipment overview. We've also got intermediate and advanced lessons for the more experienced DJs. So that's www.beatjunkies.tv. And as far as the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound out here in Los Angeles, we are actually in the process of installing fiber optics so that we can teach in 2021 virtually online. So we're planning to reopen with the extended stay-at-home order here in California now. We're probably going to be reopening top of February. Hopefully everything goes well. We're looking to be able to teach or broadcast our actual DJ classes that we teach at the Institute, broadcast those online sometime in the first quarter of 2021. So those will be available soon. And if you want information on that website is beatjunkiesound.com. So we've got 2 different sites, one for our physical school, and then beatjunkies.tv. That's our online DJ school.
Is that 2 S's? Beat Junkies Sound or just Beat Junkies Sound?
1 S. Beat Junkie Sound. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's okay, so DJ 2 Legit says, that's a stupid rule, Terry. Okay.
What's the
I think
rule?
he's referring to the fact. Oh, okay. Then he says, turntables don't set a bar in 2020. Y'all living in the 80s. Okay, that's actually a fair statement to make, and this is how I will answer this. It's not your bar. You can set your bar however you want when you have your company. But for me, from a person that came from turntables, that is how I know the quality that you offer without having to do anything else. Like, I know right off the bat where you stand fundamentally. So it's not a stupid rule. It's my rule. And trust me when I tell you, I've been very successful using this rule as my baseline. Now, are there DJs out there that are dope, that are on controllers? 100%. And do I employ them? I have. But I've also made them learn turntables. You know why? Because my entire setups are turntable driven. Because when I book a client, my clients say, you guys don't really use just those stupid computers. Do you guys use turntables? And I tell them yes. And people actually appreciate that. You know, the kids today, because we do a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, see people DJing on turntables, and it becomes a thing that they want to do. I can probably ask Beat Junkies how many kids versus adults are in your classes, you know. But the fact is, if you turn on Twitch right now, where all of these kids are gaming and then they move over to see DJs, what are DJs using? For the most part, they're using turntables. So what do you think is going to be the next thing that these kids ask their parents for or want to learn on, because they see all of the top DJs using them? So the bar is set because it makes sense to me. But when you have your company and you have, 8 to 10 DJs going out on a Saturday, you can do whatever you want. But this is my comfort level. So I'm sorry you feel that way. But we're not living in the 80s because that's the bar. The bar is there for a reason. You just don't want to admit that it still exists as the bar. That's facts. Because if I give 50 people a controller, they all tell me they're controller DJs. There is nothing out there that tells me the quality of who they are. Because controllers have all of these strengths and functions to be able to mask who you are. Turntables don't mask that. And I'm not saying you have to be vinyl. I'm saying if you're you have to be at least be on Serato, at least got to be DVS. But you don't have to pull your crates to the parties. I don't want that. But you at least have to be able to rock DVS and be comfortable with it. So anyway, the problem is I have the microphone and you don't. So I get a chance to be on my soapbox a little longer. So
that's fair.
Sorry
it's your
about
show. That's fair.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Pea Soup says, okay, I don't know. She's talking about cakes. Let's go somewhere else.
Cakes.
Caesar Salad Productions. I like the name. Says, I've seen a lot of DJs who've sold their tables years ago upgrade to new tables during this pandemic. Yeah. So I guess what did you start on, and what are you using now?
Me?
Yeah, gear wise.
Yeah, I started on Santa Claus got me my first Technique 1200 in 1987. So I was working with one Technique 1200, the original, silver Technique 1200. And then I jacked my dad's old home stereo system. So I used to play cassettes that I had. That's kind of how I taught myself to beat match. And then when I joined up with my mobile crew later in like 89, they had a full set. So I've always been on 1200s. So I still have my original pair. I have another pair of 1200s, and these are Techniques 1200s. These are the ones that I use regularly here at home. These are kind of my turntables of choice. I like the Pioneer PLX 1000s. Those are dope. And recently got the brand new S11. Prior to this, I was using the S9. So yeah, this has kind of been my go-to setup for the last, I don't know, 5-7 years. Are these 1200s? These are the 1210 M5G with the dual pitch control.
The 5Gs are dope. I love
these are the ones.
I still have my 5Gs. Yeah,
these are the ones right here. So
although I had one little issue with my 5Gs. For whatever reason, I kept having, because for most people that don't know this, the 5Gs were the first to go to the digital pitch. Wasn't it the 5Gs? And I kept having this issue where I couldn't get my 0 pitches to line up, even though I got them resynced and got them put them in the shop. I couldn't get them resynced, but loved them. They are great. Torque is just about right.
Yeah, these are the best.
Like everything about him is good. Yeah.
So
but
dope.
my PLXs are dope. Love my PLXs too.
PLXs are good too. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you now at the school? What do you guys use at the school?
So we have a variety of equipment, and that was intentional, just so we could kind of expose the students to different setups. So we definitely have 1200s. We've got some S9s. We've got the Range 62. We've got the what's that? The Elite. We've got some reloop turntables.
Oh, the reloop.
The reloop. Yeah, we've got the reloop mixer. We've got reloop turntables. We've got some vintage mixers. We've got a few Vestex mixers on deck at the jam area, the Longtagon in the back. We've got Mixars, we've got Pioneer, we've got everything pretty much. We have all the bases covered. And again, that was intentional just so we could kind of show our students, look, I mean, we've got Newmark, that little Newmark mixer that came out. So, you know.
The Scratch is dope.
Yeah, super dope.
Great fader, great fader. That crossfader is butter.
Yeah, really nice. And that's definitely, shout out to Newmark for gifting us those. But yeah, that was purposeful so that we could kind of show the students, look, like, I mean, because equipment's expensive. Like if you're just starting out, you know, who has, 3, 4, 5 Gs to go spend on, this setup right here. You know what I'm saying? But if you're, you're just looking to start out and you're kind of getting your feet wet and you're not quite sure if DJing is something you're going to stick with, but, you have an interest in it, like, yeah, there's some equipment out there that's durable and affordable, So, so yeah, the Newmark, I think that's like, couple $100, $200 or $300 mixer, and then you can find yourself a set of turntables for a couple $100 each, and you're in for less than $1,000, which is still nothing to scoff at, but compared to spending 5 times that amount when it's when you're just starting.
I mean, when your mixer is twice that just for the mixer for that S11, it is not an easy buy. It's an easy entry, but to get like the top gear, I mean, you might as well be like a photographer. I mean, everything is expensive. Yeah. The mixer is expensive. The turntables are expensive. But I'm a little jaded because I've always had like top tier stuff. So now when manufacturers send me stuff, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. I'm like, wait, hold on. What am I saying? This thing costs $200. Like, I'm surprised that it's as amazing as it is for $200. So right. I know for a fact that there was definite mixers out there, definite quality, just with less bells and whistles. And I think that's kind of the key. Like, you can get the Newmark Scratch, or you can get like the what is it, the Pioneer, what is it, the 250 mixer? It's just a little battle mixer.
Yeah, the
just a little 2-channel battle mixer, but it has a Magville fader. It's still dope. It just has less stuff. And for a lot of newer DJs, that's what you should start on. You should start on less. The less stuff you have, the more you're going to focus on your craft and being better, because that's the one thing that bothers me. And I have this happen to me every so often. There's so many features in all of these things, everything, the syncs and the echoes and all the effects and all these things, that like it sometimes masks your ability to just do a proper transition.
Right.
And a lot of people are just locked on to the fact that, okay, I echo out on every single thing, or I do this on every single thing. And once you lose those things, like say, for instance, somebody was mentioning they're still rocking a 57. More props to you, man. I don't have a computer that can rock a 57 because the OSs are so outdated. But I've had to go back, like, you go to clubs sometimes and they're like, oh, what am I on? Oh, I'm on like the original Pioneer, 900 or whatever, and it doesn't have anything on there. You're like, okay, I have to be more creative with my transitions because I can't drop just the echo or just this effect or whatever, high pass filters. It's a lot of times learning how to just do proper transitions, being creative just with the fader and with the jog wheels or with the turntables is going to make you a better DJ. Like doing your own echo outs with the turntable versus echoing out with the onboard effects.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be said by utilizing these things. I mean, agree, disagree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the school I came from. I mean, in fact, those were techniques that I used to employ a lot when I was DJing on the radio. This is in the late 90s or mid to late 90s on 92.3 The Beat out here. But again, this is pre-Serato. So I used to do things like that, manually echo out, use the up and down faders a lot to like, for smoother transitions. Because again, this is strictly audio. So you're playing for a live audience, live on the air. So you want to sound as smooth as possible. And this is before, we had toggle switches, to echo out or effects on the mixers. So yeah, you had to get creative. I mean, and that's kind of where 1200s and turntables were not meant to, they weren't built for what we do as DJs. They weren't built. These were built for the sake of enjoying your record albums and listening to music, you know what I mean? But, hip hop, you know what I mean? Flipping the script, like we always do, like turn them into an instrument, you know what I mean? 1200s were not intended to DJ with, but again, just through thinking outside the box, like put two of them together, put a mixer, and yeah, you can rock yourself a set and keep the music going seamlessly, from song to song. As you can pull the Chris Via and DJ for 9 hours straight. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. But
9 hours straight, low rider music the entire time.
I can't. I've done some monster. I was doing this I did a few monster streams over the summer, Terry, where like I would start at like 9 o'clock and like we'd be hanging until like 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
I did a few of those. Yeah. And then people were actually kind of bummed when I stopped. Like I would stop the stream. All right, y'all, it's 1:45. Sign off. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, what? Like, come on. Like,
that's impressive. That's impressive though. That's impressive. I'm considering doing I'm not doing a 24-hour stream. Fuck that. My birthday's January 18th.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about, I'm gonna do a 12-hour stream. That's more than enough. 12 hours. I'll do probably like 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. right into my birthday, maybe 12:30ish, whatever.
You're gonna DJ the whole time? Just you? No guests?
Just me. No guests, just me. I'll bring my son in. We'll do like our father and son thing. So I'll bring him in to kind of help out a little bit. But yeah, it'll be one stream the entire time. I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure yet, but that's where we are.
You should go for it, man. Yeah, a lot of people are celebrating their birthdays that way. So yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, what else are you gonna do?
I know, right?
You can't go anywhere.
No, not out here. Yeah, for sure. I'm actually doing I made the announcement the other night, but I'm doing a posse stream on my channel a week from this Friday, January the 8th. So it's going to be DJ Melody's scratch party. So it's myself, DJ Retmatic, Shortcut from the Beat Junkies. We got Scratch Bastard, the barbecue boss, king of the sauce. Yes. He's going to be on deck. We got DJ Starting from Scratch and Jazzy Jeff. So it's going to be 6 hours.
That's a lineup right there.
Everyone went out. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. And I'm so pumped. So yeah. That's going to be next Friday, so that'll be fun.
Oh, this is so sweet.
Ooh, man.
I got to bring this up real quick. This is sweet. Apple Cool Girl says, so on turntables, you have to actually change records to change songs. Oh, yes. That was a thing back in the day. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't 8-track. You could at least skip ahead, but yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're using vinyl, right? If you're using vinyl, then yes, you physically have to change records. But obviously with Serato, like, you can just keep it going. Computer, right?
Yeah, and we even get lazier with that. We're just like, nope, just keep. We didn't even go back. Just keep auto playing. Like and we don't even do that now. Now we have phase, so the record just spins. You don't have to worry about the needle hitting the center.
Right.
It's so different now. It's so different. Paris Paul booing me. I don't know why he's booing me. I told you I do 12 hours. That's enough.
12 hours is that's no joke right there.
Okay, so Professor BX is doing some underground stuff here. When rocking doubles, do you have the offset record behind the beat or ahead of the beat?
Always ahead. Ahead is funkier. Okay. Behind you can get by with behind, but there's a little unfunkiness to the behind technique. So.
And it's interesting too, because I've heard people actually say, like, non-DJs, when you do the behind, they're like, it sounds weird, like something's wrong. But the front, it seems purposeful, and it's just, I don't know. Because I do them both. Yeah. Agreed. It's just harder to get into for a lot of people. That's why.
Yeah.
Behind it really is a...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, it really is a feel to do ahead. Pushing the record at a certain place to get it there, because I'm decent with it, but I see some people like, like you and Shortcut, like you guys will fly into an instant double. And I'm just like, how do they know it's on so quickly? So quickly. But, it's impressive. It's impressive.
These guys. That's what, yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Anybody else have? So Steve says, do you keep a bucket next to you for peeing? So just because my stream is on for 12 hours doesn't mean I can't move to a clip or something so I can go pee real quick.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I'm still, this is the first thing that I taught people when I did my, my Twitch/Instagram videos, because the first thing I said was make yourself a pee break screen that is just all there. Your camera's covered up basically, so you can leave. Some shit goes down in your house. You can take care of it while the song is playing and people aren't looking like what's happening. So no, I'll play, Serato videos will pop up on the screen. I'll go to that channel.
Oh,
But
there
yeah,
you go.
we'll be doing it. Okay. DJ Scratch Bastard says mostly behind. DJ Screw Style is mostly behind. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. Everybody does it differently. Everybody does it differently.
Different. Yeah. There's no right or wrong. I mean, behind still sounds decent, but I mean, to me, like, yeah, ahead is always it's just funkier. And there's more things can do there's more things you can do with time signatures when your offset is ahead versus behind.
Mm-hmm. True. And now with like the S11 and things like ducking echo, you can do the behind really, really easy just by turning on an effect. So yeah, we're there now. It's 2020. Slowbridge says, which hand on the fader strongest on the record? I guess you're saying which hand should you use for the fader versus the record when you're scratching?
I mean, whichever hand you write with, which should be your scratch hand, and then you should train your other hand, to control the crossfader. That'd be my recommendation.
Interesting. Okay, because a lot of people will say you should use your dominant hand for the crossfader, and then use your other hand for the turntable, because for a lot of tricks you're not using your hand as much. But I would argue that your hand needs to have control,
right?
And your dominant hand has more control than your weaker hand does. So I've always gone back and forth with that, with using both. So it's interesting that you would say, yeah, okay.
Well, part of the reason I say that too is because once you start, if you really, really start focusing on scratching and starting to learn more of the complex scratches that require multiple hand movements, that's where control really, really becomes important. So that's why you would want to use your dominant hand. So typically, like something like a baby scratch, you'd be able to execute like a simple forward motion and a back motion, 2 motions, right? You can execute that pretty straightforward on both hands, right? But something where you're using, like I said, multiple hand movements, like a complex tear scratch where it's 2 or 3 motions forward and 2 or 3 motions back. Like that's pretty intricate, pretty involved. So you're going to want to have maximum control when it comes to more advanced scratches like that.
Okay. So then a couple more questions and then we'll let you go. Well, I think 3 o'clock's a good number.
Is it 3 o'clock already?
It is almost 3. It's 2:52. I know time flies on the show. We just have a good time.
Yeah.
What is your feeling growing up and learning from like the basic level of scratching to the more complex, when it seems like, and you probably experienced this from being at the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound, it seems like everybody just wants to crab all day. What is your feeling, and how do you teach people that, that's not everything?
Right. I mean, again, like we start at the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound, we teach what are called the foundation scratches. So definitely the baby scratch, and we give history behind each scratch. You know what I mean? So the baby scratch, as you all know, Grand Wizard Theodore created that, unintentionally, total accident, but he stumbled on what we call the baby scratch. And beyond it being just a scratch, again, that's that simple forward and back motion. Beyond it being just a scratch for the sake of the, if you ever watch any DJ, any competent DJ at a gig, whether it's a wedding or a club or a bar, you see DJs doing this all the time. Without you being able to hear it. And what they're doing is they're queuing up, they're staying in the pocket, you know what I mean? Catching that momentum so that when they go and start their mix, like they drop it on the 1 or the 4 or wherever it's supposed to be. That just helps with timing, right? But anything beyond that, you know, we always feel that there needs to be a healthy balance. Like there's nothing wrong with, you know, really going ham on the more complex scratches, whether that's, you know, a 2-click flare or combining that with a crab scratch. You know, sure, like, you know, bust that for flex for whatever, 4 bars, 8 bars. But, you know, there's definitely appropriate times where silence even, you know what I mean? Like letting the sound kind of falling back.
Letting it breathe.
Letting it breathe for a second. And then scaling back to some of the more simple techniques like a stab or a th, like a release, you know what I mean? And then combining those, like bridging the worlds, like combining like a simple release scratch, like a with the what, you know what I mean? Like combining a simple scratch with the more complicated scratch, like, you know what I mean? Getting the best of both worlds. So really it's about feeling and flow. And like I said, just having kind of like a healthy balance, you know what I mean? Not focusing too much, overly focusing too much on one side or the other. But again, just kind of doing your best to kind of like utilize all those skills, you know, into a nice scratch flow.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've actually been focusing more on slowing down my technique, and as you just said, like just scratching and letting it breathe, and almost utilizing it more like an instrument, like I was playing jazz, and kind of you know, kind of scratching between the keys, so to speak. And and it's been great, but it slows you down, but then it forces your timing and your rhythm to improve, and you know, it's working for me a little bit.
Yeah,
because I felt myself just going and just doing the thing. I'm like, this isn't really musical. I need to get back to being musical.
Right, so. And that's for something like when you're doing like an actual scratch solo, like if you're, you know what I mean, you have a 16 bar break in a song that you're playing, like, you know what, I want to scratch over this. This is kind of like a cool, nice little drum kit right here. I want to get busy for 16 bars. Like that's where, like, you know, you get into scratch flow versus, you know, if you're in the mix and you're like scratching for 1 bar as a lead in, like that's where it's just like, you know what I mean? Just, you know, do whatever you like. But yeah, once you start really getting into like just scratching, like throwing on a beat and just scratching, that's where all those concepts become important. You know, silence, letting the record breathe, experimenting with different cadences. You know what I mean? Using other pockets, releasing the sound in unorthodox places. Like that's where the funkiness comes from. That's where the funk comes from right there. So yeah, now I have to.
And what would you say for somebody who has their thing down, but they want to start branching off into different techniques and different sounds and different, you know, fader techniques, but they always tend to fall back on what they know. How do you get around that part, you know,
as far as learning something new?
As far as learning something new and actually incorporating into what you've kind of embedded in your brain, you know what I mean? Like I always go to this, but now there's something this, and as I practice it, I can do it. But trying to incorporate this and this at the same time, it doesn't seem to work as well. What would you say? What could you give somebody a pointer on that?
So 2 things I always suggest to my students is anytime you're learning something new can always be challenging, right? Because it's brand new, and especially if you're trying to learn something more complex or level up, so to speak. Start off slow, you know what I mean? Don't jump into the 100 beats per minute scratch beats and try and just like, you know, just come swinging out for a home run, you know what I mean? Slow it down, try something nice and comfortable. 75, 80 beats per minute is a nice, comfortable range. And even before you even throw in a drum beat, the second tip I always offer my students is do it a cappella. Just really focus on the actual technique on your dominant hand and controlling that fader and actually understanding and being able to properly execute the actual scratch. Once you understand it and you can hear yourself doing it and you're comfortable, like, oh, okay, I get it, then throw on that 80 BPM scratch beat, you know what I mean? And then get comfortable. And then, okay, I can do it over an 80 BPM scratch beat. And then your next step is to combine it with like you were saying, kind of like your go-to scratches. So if your go-to scratch is a baby scratch, once you've learned that new scratch, you know what I mean? Okay, I've got it down. I did it a cappella. I understand it. I can do it, you know, the scratch in itself over an 80 BPM. Then take that next step, combine it with your baby scratch. Try and combine it with your baby scratch. And then as you get comfortable, you gain confidence, you become more competent in that particular scratch technique, then kick it up to 85 beats per minute. And before you know it, you're up at that 100 BPM range, and there you go. You're off to the races.
And I will say this to anybody that's interested in learning and not really sure, what Beat Junkies is about. Over quarantine, they did a really, really cool thing by making videos, doing live teaching of their school, and they called it homeroom. So there's a lot of really good learning from Babu and Redmatic and Melody and all of these people on there just giving their time to show you guys how to DJ. And I mean, I was on there a couple of times and I'm like, wow, I'm learning stuff even from these basic to intermediate things that because it forces you to slow down. It forces you to stop and focus. And I think that's key because we always want to rush through things. It's like, no. I've been watching Cobra Kai right now. I'm binging that damn show. And it's like, nope, wax on, wax off, paint the fence and stop trying to do so much right now. It'll all come to you. It all makes sense after a while. So if anybody was wanting to know, go to their YouTube channel, check out Homeroom, and, just take a couple of lessons. It's like an hour lesson. And, I was on with Babu on once and I was just like, okay, I got this. And he's like, okay, now we're going to add one little thing. I'm like, damn, my hand doesn't do this because I never did that in my normal life. But once you learn it, you're like, oh, so that's how you go from A to B to C to D. So you can always learn stuff, with anything you do. Like I did a video on cue points on my YouTube channel and I thought it was just stupid. I'm like, nobody's going to care about this. And people are like, I've been using Scratch for X amount of years and I didn't know that you could do this. And it's like, okay, look, you can find benefit out of everything. A lot of people jump through things and they don't realize that there's more to pretty much everything you do if you just take the time, the patience, and focus.
Sure.
Yeah. So one more question, and then we're gonna let you go. And it comes from DJ Co1 says,
CO1.
CO1. When doing sets, Twitch or club, how focused is your playlist for the set, or do you go off the cuff and lean towards using prepare crates in Serato?
So my style is a hybrid of both. CO, shout out to CO1 out in Vegas, man. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know if you were in earlier, but we were talking about kind of preparing for the live performance, and yeah, I definitely spend a fair number of hours, considering what music I want to play, depending on the nature of the event. So that's definitely, man, I can spend anywhere from 8 to 15 hours, doing that, organizing music. I'll always show up to an event with a crate ready to go. And yeah, there's definitely moments, as you all know, throughout the set where, if I'm in Vegas Big Room, for example, you kind of have to be prepared to act on the fly. So I've had nights where a host will come up to me at, peak prime time, 1:30 in the morning, and hey, so-and-so just walked in and just dropped, a 20K on, whatever bottles, and he wants a shout out and he wants these 3 songs now. Okay, done. And you got to get creative and find a way out of it, whether that's stopping the music and talking to the room for a few seconds and shouting that person out, or if the person asks for a song that fit right in the BPM range where you're playing, then you can keep the music going, jump on, filter out, lower the volume, shout them out, mute, whatever, do it that way. But yeah, no, to answer your question, CO, yeah, it's kind of both, man. I always like to have kind of a blueprint or an outline of things that I think are going to fit for the set that I'm playing. And then if I'm called on to do something else, or if in the moment I kind of feel like, oh, you know what, this song would go over really well right now, or I forgot about this one, let me jump to that. So yeah, quickly pull it up, load it up, and yeah, so there's definitely both. I think you always have to leave room for improvisation, unless it's an actual performance. I've done things where it's I've done things for, companies, Rain DJ, Pioneer DJ, where it's we're called on to do a 10-minute performance. So that's a little bit different by nature because you're showing up to do an actual show. You know what I mean? So you have 3.5, 4 routines that, you're not going to deviate from that because that's your actual performance. Whereas if you're playing a DJ set, like I said, I personally feel that you always have to leave room for improv, especially with Twitch. And shout out to the Twitch chat, man, the community, man. Oh man, people say the wittiest stuff on Twitch. It's such a good time. And they'll call out songs, you know what I mean? Or they'll call out a sample and be like, oh man, I forgot about that. So
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So in those moments, that's where it's oh man, shout out to you know what I mean? So and so, I totally forgot about that song, man. Let's play that. Or, you know, they'll see all the records behind me and they'll be like, hey, Melo, you got that, blah, blah, blah. You got the, oh, yeah, I do. Holy smoly, let's listen to this right now. And, you know,
Right.
so
Yeah.
stuff like that.
DJ Fly said, I don't think Melo knows this, but I'm an online student at Beat Junkies, and I can't recommend it enough if you want to learn.
Word up. Thanks, Fly.
Yeah, that's dope.
Thank you.
See, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to be good, or even want to be the best, or you want to really improve, there is no age to trying to relearn stuff or to learn it correctly. You know, so it's like even somebody like DJ Fly, and DJ Fly is dope, you know, but he's like, no, I need my refresher courses too. So I go back and do that. So if DJ Fly can do it, you know, everybody can do it. Like I went to enhance my scratching before you guys were on board at Scratch Academy. And DJ and Chalk was actually my instructor. But my problem was they were teaching to the class, and so we were always operating at the lowest skill set. You know, so if somebody couldn't do something, like, okay, let's hold on, guys, let's take it back. So I didn't get a chance to grow in the class like you know other people do. But I think it feels to me like, at least with Beat Junkies, there is not so much look, these are the foundations, get to this level, because we're not going to stop. But it does feel like, nope, we expect you to be at a certain level. So you're going to practice on your own. You're going to improve. You're not going to slow up the class because you didn't do the work. So exactly. it feels a little more like that. So I appreciate that. So yeah, sure. I will definitely be checking in too. I keep telling Chuck, I'm like, when the school comes back up, I want to do a video. You want to do a video interview for YouTube and everything, and just, you know,
come on, man.
There.
Yeah, like I said, we're looking at, I mean, again, hopefully, you know, everything cools out, the COVID stuff cools out. But yeah, top of February, we're going to reopen the doors. So
dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold on. What are we? OG
Man,
Arabian Prince in the house.
This could be a 12-hour stream right here.
I am not going to let it be a 12-hour stream. Because I am DJing, and like you said, like I haven't taken the time to work on a set today. So I need to kind of go through and take a look. Because my biggest thing right now is I'll just get on, you know, I think I'm going to do this, and it's last minute. And then that's typically when you struggle, when you don't have, like for me, I need at least 10 to 15 songs that are like a playbook that are already lined up.
Yeah.
And I go down those songs, and then after that point, my brain's working, my juices are flowing, then I can deviate. But I need at least those first, because if I don't have those first 10, I struggle the entire time. And I know that about me. You know, everybody's different.
No, and respect for that. I can appreciate that, Terry, because I mean, as you know, it becomes so much more than just DJing, especially with Twitch, because now you're having to, like I said, like focus on the music, but you also you don't want to neglect the people that are, you know, watching your show or listening to you do your thing. So you have to give them, you know, their fair share of attention too. So we only have two hands and two eyes, one set of eyes, you know? So yeah, it helps to be prepared for sure.
Exactly. Salute to OG Arabian Prince in the house. What's going on, fam? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. We're gonna get you on. I saw your email. We're gonna get you on soon.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Negative Jeff says I always struggle with what to start with. The good thing about Twitch is you start with what you want to start with. Nobody's telling you what to play. This isn't like the club where you're like, oh, hey, you're the opening DJ. Stay away from this music. Just you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
and
that's what's dope about it.
So I mean, in all honesty, what is your feeling for like the way Twitch is, and kind of the understanding that when you go into a Twitch stream, you're at the mercy of whatever the DJ is playing, and it could be something completely different than what your expectations are. What is your thoughts on once we get out of COVID and we're back in the real world, and now we're at clubs? Where do you see DJ going? Are we going to take some of what we've learned from Twitch, meaning that people actually appreciate other forms of music, and we're going to incorporate that into our sets? Or we're going to go back to playing, you know, what's my favorite word over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so. I'd hope that, with Twitch, gaining the popularity it has, and shout out to all the DJs, man, because like I said, it's no easy task jumping on stream, even if you're streaming twice a week, even once a week. It's a commitment, and it's a lot of work. So I would like to think that, if and when venues reopen and the club experience, comes back into the fold, that yes, people would be at least more open to hearing, music other than the typical, whatever, 30 or 40 songs you're going to hear anywhere else in the world. Because that's kind of been one of the cool things. And it's funny, I was talking to my partner, to Julio G, about this recently. If you really, really pay attention to what's happening on Twitch, and again, this is no slapper, this is not, an attack on anybody. But if you look at some of these club DJs, they're not doing club sets. They're doing 90s hip hop. They're doing, they're playing 80s music that they weren't even around for. You know what I mean? They're playing all this classic, throwback music that they would never be caught dead, playing at a gig. So I would like to think that that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah, if anything, like it's opened a lot of people's eyes and ears to like, wow, there's dope music out there other than, what we're hearing on the radio or what's current or what's showing up on the top 10 on iTunes. You know what I mean? Because music is it's never ending, man. It's so vast, and there's so much good music that spans genres and generations and decades. It's just like you can never really get or hear enough of it, So I would like to think that there'd be a place for it, or at least, like I said, people would be more open to hearing some different things, whether that's 3 or 4 funk records, you know what I mean? Parliament or whatever, some classic Roger Troutman, or maybe some Miami bass or some of the freestyle stuff, whatever. But I think that remains to be seen. But yeah, I'd like to think that Twitch maybe will change some of that, moving forward. So, but I don't know what to expect. I mean, I've done, like I said, I've seen kind of the progression, I guess, in the Vegas landscape over the decade plus that I was working out there. And again, Vegas being a very commercial market, it's always kind of going to be that. You can pretty much get the same experience from room to room to room musically. I mean, you can get the same experience. You're going to hear pretty much the same set, everywhere you go. Obviously, DJs have different ways of presenting that music, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and what's the club experience going to be like? I don't know, man.
Animal.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be. I mean, if it ever gets back to what it was, I think it's going to be a long, kind of slow climb to get back there with everything that we have a lot to recover from. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I've heard that Vegas, some of the Vegas rooms have reopened at limited capacity, but the experience is very different. It's reservation only, and it's pretty much treated like a restaurant. You have to, reserve a table, and then at that, you're not allowed to intermingle with any other parties or any other tables, and each table is limited to 6 people, and the prices are the same. They didn't even cut us a break on, so bottles of whatever is still $500. A bottle of Grey Goose is still—
hold on. The prices are the same for the bottles, but the DJ's getting paid less.
Oh, is that what's happening? I don't know. I haven't done a gig since March. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that's a whole other thing too. So yeah.
Hold on. Let me shout out DJ Remark for the 3-month subscription. That he better get shouted out for this.
What up, Remark?
Thank you. A couple people in the chat. Charlie Darker in the house. What's going on, fam? Good to see you.
Charlie.
DJ 360 in the house. Good to see you, girl. Yeah. Diamond Lee, the ELO Show, True School. All these people. Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate you. It's been a long show, and I think we should probably start coming to a close. Let's see if there's anything else that is just a question I just can't avoid. Let's see here. No, I think we might have nailed all the big ones. It's been a great show. Ladies and gentlemen, put the ones in the chat and put the wake ups in the chat if you found well, I hope you found this thing great. If you found it a great show, put it in the chat. Thanks for hanging out today. We are going to be rating, if he's still on. Today we're going to be rating Darth Vader because it is, if he's on, because it is his birthday. So he's doing his stream today. So we're going to raid Mr. DJ Darth Vader, give him a bit of a boost. When we do go there, make sure that you throw in the chat my emotes. If you got melody emotes, throw those in the chat. Let them know where you came from. We are all about supporting the community. And I think that's what's good about Twitch. At least right now, it feels like people are just happy to be here. And I'm making so many more relationships with DJs and companies that I never would have made relationships before. But do you feel like this is something that we can maintain?
Streaming,
but also this kind of camaraderie that we have.
I would hope so, man. It's been cool, and I'm glad you said that because, through Twitch, I've definitely connected and been exposed to DJs that I've never crossed paths with or had the chance to cross paths with. And I think another thing that's really dope about Twitch for me, and I've said this before, is like, because in the end, I'm a fan of DJing. I'm a fan of the art. I'm a fan of the culture. I'm a fan of music. Like, I love it all. You know what I mean? I can't get enough of it. I'm down here every day for 8+ hours a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes my wife and kids, like, I don't even see them until like dinner time, you know, 'cause I'm in here all day.
Sure.
But I think another cool thing about Twitch for me is that prior, you know, to COVID and to quarantine, like if I wanted to go see you DJ, or if I wanted to go catch Eric Deluxe or any of the homies or anybody in the chat, you know what I mean? Scratch Bastard, like I had to physically get to the venue, you know what I mean? And then I'd reach out like, yo, I want to come see you play. And so it's a whole thing, you know what I mean? Even if I'm in Vegas and Eric Deluxe is playing down the street, like I'd have to hit him, like, hey, yeah, so ask for so-and-so at the door, and blah, 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 jump in the cab, jump in the Uber, get there, walk through the thing, hey, I'm so-and-so, and then before hour and a half later, finally, there I am, I'm in the club, shaking hands. I had to go through, but now it's just like, oh man, Eric Deluxe is DJing, boom, and I'm in the room, like, yo, what up? And I could just, you know what I mean? And so that's what's dope about it. And I can watch, like, you know, DJs. We did a shout out to Four Fly and Audio One. We did Boom Bap Mondays the other day. So I mean, I caught several DJs that I was like, oh man, I didn't even know, I didn't know like who some of these DJs were, but I was able to watch, you know what I mean? And then like through raids and stuff like that, like, you know, yeah, I'm exposed to a lot more DJs and I enjoy it all, man. I mean, whether it's, like I said, obviously I'm, you know, partial to the music that I grew up on, the classic music, and I'll watch vinyl sets all day, but I definitely like, you know, I'll see DJs play like some of the newer music, and I'm equally as intrigued because it's like, oh, let me hear what, you know, some of the new music, obviously, you know, that I'm not hip to, like, you know, and sometimes I'll catch a song or two that, oh, this song's actually pretty good, man. You know what I mean? Like, not all the new music is, you know what I mean? So
it's not all terrible.
No, it's not. It's really not. So yeah, I think Twitch is dope, man. Twitch is real cool, and like you said, I think you struck a chord there. It's like it's absolutely 100% about community, and it's dope to see DJs supporting other DJs with, you know, whether it's a raid or gifting bits or the gifted subs. And yeah, I mean, it gets exciting sometimes, man. It gets fun, you know? So yeah, super dope. I hope it keeps going.
So do I. I mean, obviously it'll keep going in some capacity, or it'll fall off, and then Mixcloud will finally get their shit together, and you know, all the DJs will be over there. Who knows? I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But for right now, let's just ride it till the wheels fall off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we are going to start this raid, but while we are waiting for this raid to start, we're going to leave you guys with this.
Oh man! Oh gosh! Wow! Jeez Louise.
Uh-oh, they're saying no audio. Hold on. Is there no audio? We're not getting any audio? We're not muted, so hold on.
Oh yeah, I think
Hold
they're
on.
saying no audio.
Well, let's we can't end on that. So let's get back this thing real quick. Well, let's remove. Okay, we'll try that one more time.
Now, shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody, man. It's good to see a lot of Twitch friends in here and some new names and faces. Thank you guys for tuning in.
You got audio now?
There you go.
Like, I can't make it louder. This is YouTube. Don't blame me. This is an old video.
Boy, is it.
Oh, thanks, Fly. Yeah, I can't send people there.
Yeah, give it up for DJ.
So you went head to head with Babu on this one, right?
Yeah, it ended up, yeah, that I ended up against my Beat Junkie brother in the finals. Yeah.
Babu looks exactly the same.
He does.
That's the one thing about Babu. Nobody juggles like Babu.
Yeah. Definitely not one guy you want to face in a battle, man. Man.
I mean, he's looking at the crowd. I would not be able to look at the crowd.
Yeah, it's good. Battling, I know we were talking about it earlier, but yeah, there's a whole science to it. There's a lot that goes into it.
Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna raid. We'll raid Flipside.
Cool.
I haven't raided Flip in a while. He's dope.
Some real fancy videography going down right here.
Back in the day?
Yeah, for 1995 or whenever this was, that's pretty advanced.
All right, yo, Babu. Give it up for DJ Babu. Come on, second round, final round.
Yeah, remark, this was at the Variety Arts Center, downtown LA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They're asking what mixer. It had to have been the Vestex, right?
Yeah, this is the very first Vestex 05, the original Vestex 05.
Yep. We're gonna be generous today. We're gonna raid somebody that's not established.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, J Rhythms is on, and he's only rocking 12 viewers. So
Okay.
let's
Spread the love.
let's make somebody happy today. Remark says he always wanted to know how the OG Vestax turntable felt as far as torque.
Oh, geez. I still have my pair. I haven't used them in forever, but
Give it up for DJ Babu.
they were good. The torque was a little adjustment. It wasn't as good as a 1200, but it was good. It was good. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it like a.
All right, this is gonna be
With
the
1200 being a 10, I'd say 8.5, 8.7, something like that. So definitely respectable. But the thing about those turntables, they were very compared to 1200. You know, 1200s, they're built to last, right? These things are like 30 pounds.
Right.
Those turntables they were a little hollow, and they were much lighter. So you really had to be a lot lighter handed with them.
Gotcha.
They would skip a little bit more than a 1200. So. But they're definitely dope. Yeah.
Get the dope jacket too. Get some Vestax equipment.
Yeah, for sure. For 95, that's
Ready
good
for
for that
this,
time.
Well, hold on.
We went three rounds?
3 rounds.
Man,
That's
remember.
insane.
That is insane. This was so intense, man. I was so nervous.
All right, Melody, you ready? All right, give it up for DJ Melo.
Every time you're like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah, see, I'm shaking my hands. I'm all nervous, man.
They said Babu didn't look like he was light-handed at all. Yeah, the good DJs never look like they're light-handed.
Yeah. No, he's just really intense, man. He's just, his demeanor is just so intense. That's why I said that's one guy you never want to face in a DJ battle. Because he could just own your soul with his stage presence. Like those are for real. Those are dangerous DJs, man. Shout out to Babu, man. Man.
DJ Rico Steves, thank you for that tier 1 sub. Appreciate you. Nice.
All right, yo, give it up for DJ Babu. Final round of the finals. All right, yo.
Clap your hands to what he's doing.
I've always loved that.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with that too, but it's beautiful to watch and hear.
Yeah. Babs is a master at this, man.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we would call a split juggle routine. You're using the last routine that I did and this routine that Babu is doing. We're using 2 different records to create a juggle routine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, give it up for DJ Babu.
Oh, man.
Give it up for both.
Dope. So who took it?
So I won by literally 1 vote. I think there was 7 judges on the panel. And I remember, there's Brett.
Vote one. This one's for Babu.
There you go. I was like, oh man, he got me. I was like, he got me. Fair and square. My brother got me. But what was dope was like either way, we knew that one Beat Junkie was going to the world finals.
Exactly.
This one's for Melody. You getting this shortcut? That's 2-2, right?
This one's for Babu.
Babu.
Look at it. It's neck and neck.
This one's for Melody.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Wait a minute. How many judges are there, man?
There's 7.
Okay.
7, yeah.
Wait a minute. There's three votes.
No, they're not.
What?
They're not doing it.
No, I'm saying
Oh.
it's 3-3, right? So this one determines the winner?
Right here.
Okay.
What I hold right here.
Oh, man.
Can I get a West Coast stop here going in and shit like a drum roll or something? And the winner is for the Vestex 1995 USA DJ Battle Competition, DJ Melody.
Oh.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, that is dope. That is dope, man. But it's really impressive. Shut this down here. We're starting this raid, but we're gonna let it roll for a second. Really impressive, and honestly, I appreciate you for coming on today. We were on for a long time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, it was fun. A lot of fun. Good talking to you.
We'll get you back up. We'll get you back on again because I think what you do is amazing and really impressive, and it helps the community. They've clearly appreciated it all. So thank you so much.
And likewise to you, man. Props to you, man, for all that you do, man, for all the equipment reviews and doing stuff like this, podcasts, and obviously you're a DJ yourself. So yeah, man, big up. Word up.
Thank you. Honestly, I appreciate you. All right, guys. So we're heading over to J Rhythm right now. Remember what to do. Hit up the world. Let them know where you come from. Show your emotes. Show all those things that we need you to do. And we'll see you next time. All right. We're done for this week. We'll be back on Monday. Monday, the 4th. I think it's the 4th. All right, y'all. Peace out. We'll talk soon. Okay. And broadcast.